Chapter 419. At the entrance of the Reincarnation Valley, the Reincarnation City soldiers, who were in charge of scouting the demons in the sky, were stunned. Then, their eyes widened. That's... One of them shouted in shock as he stared blankly at the man and 5 women flying toward them. How can it be? How can humans fly? Could it be the demon clan? Someone's expression suddenly changed, and then he shouted in shock. Quick! Get the ballistae ready! Don't let them fly over! One of them shouted in a hurry. The next second, the Reincarnation City soldiers on the city wall in charge of air defense controlled the ballistae and aimed at the 6 people flying toward them. At this moment, a loud shout was heard. Stop! That's my lord! Zhou Tsang, who had also noticed the abnormality in the sky, confirmed the identity of the man among the 5 women flying toward them. It was the master of Reincarnation City, their lord, the general of cavalry of the great Han Empire Yi Chen. Zhou Tsang didn't want to see the Reincarnation City soldiers attacking Yi Chen. If that happened, he, as a general of Reincarnation City, would be responsible for it. In fact, when Zhou Tsang first saw the 6 people flying in the sky, he also suspected that they were from the fiend race. However, his strength was not low, and he quickly saw Yi Chen's appearance. After confirming that the man flying toward them was Yi Chen, Zhou Tsang was shocked. He didn't expect his lord, the general of cavalry of the great Han Empire, Yi Chen, to be able to fly with 5 women. Now that he saw it with his own eyes, Zhou Tsang was shocked. Then, he worshipped him. That was because flying represented transcendence. It represented the immortals. Zhou Tsang felt proud and excited to be able to follow such a lord. Of course, what followed was nervousness. Damn it, the Reincarnation City soldiers were aiming at their lord. This was a big deal. Zhou Tsang hurriedly shouted for them to stop. Gasps of surprise rang out. These were the Reincarnation City soldiers who didn't recognize Yi Chen. They didn't expect that the one flying toward them was not a demon, but their lord, Yi Chen. In their opinion, how could humans fly? It was only because the demon race had many tricks up their sleeves that they could fly. Therefore, they thought that the 6 people flying in the sky were monsters. But to their surprise, they were wrong. That was not a demon at all, but their lord, Yi Chen. In the next second, the faces of the soldiers of Samsara City turned red. Without hesitation, they pointed the tips of their spears at their hearts. They wanted to atone for their sins with death. They did not expect that the person flying over would be their lord, the great Han Empire's general of light cavalry, Yi Chen. But that was not important. What was important was that they had actually wanted to use ballistae to deal with their lord. This made them unable to forgive themselves. Only by atoning for their sins with death would they be able to feel at ease. When Zhou Tsang saw this, his expression immediately changed. Just as he was about to shout for them to stop, a series of buzzing sounds could be heard. Without exception, the weapons in the hands of the soldiers of Samsara City, who were ready to commit suicide, began to tremble. No matter how hard the soldiers tried, the spears could not move forward at all. In the next second, a series of whooshing sounds could be heard. The spears in the hands of the soldiers of Samsara City flew up into the sky and circled around Yi Chen, who was flying rapidly towards them. When the soldiers of Samsara City, who were about to atone for their sins with death, saw this, they all knelt down on one knee and bowed loudly. "We are guilty. My lord, please punish us." At this moment, a golden light flashed. Yi Chen, who was flying with Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong and Zhen Juru, suddenly descended and then floated in the air. Swoosh! The soldiers of Samsara City, who were in charge of scouting the ground, all knelt down on one knee and bowed loudly. "Greetings, my lord!" Hundreds of thousands of soldiers shouted in unison, their voices shaking the sky. They did not notice Yi Chen at first because their eyes were fixed on the ground. Even when they heard the cries of the soldiers of Samsara City, who were in charge of the sky, no one raised their heads to look at the sky. This was because they had received orders to scout the ground. Once they found the demon clan or the golden turban on the ground, they were to warn them immediately and then attack. To put it simply, the soldiers of Samsara city were performing their duties and would not be disturbed by the outside world unless they were ordered to do so. This could only be seen in Samsara city in the entire Great Han Empire. If one were to describe it in one word, it would be strict discipline. "Greetings, my lord." Zhouzong hurried forward and bowed deeply to Yi Chen. Yi Chen nodded and then looked at the soldiers who were about to commit suicide. "Did I give you permission to commit suicide?" Hearing the anger in Yi Chen's voice, the soldiers of Samsara city who wanted to atone for their sins with death trembled and then lowered their heads. Self-blame, sadness, and shame were the thoughts of the soldiers of Samsara city who wanted to atone for their sins with death. They had almost attacked their lord and now they had angered the lord they worshipped and respected. This was not what they wanted to see. If it could appease Yi Chen's anger, the soldiers of Samsara city would be willing to die without a frown. "Raise your heads!" Yi Chen saw this and then opened his eyes and shouted. Hearing Yi Chen's words, the soldiers of Samsara city who wanted to atone for their sins with death hurriedly raised their heads. Looking at the soldiers of Samsara city who were full of self-blame and regret, Yi Chen sighed inwardly and then shouted. "Instead of greeting me, you want to commit suicide. Did you want to attack me just now?" As soon as Yi Chen finished his words, the soldiers of Samsara city, who wanted to atone for their sins with death, were shocked. They fell to their knees one by one with a plop sound. "My lord, we did not mean to attack you." Hearing this, Yi Chen became angry and shouted, "If you did not, why did you want to commit suicide?" Hearing this, the soldiers of Samsara city who wanted to atone for their sins with death became anxious. They hurriedly bowed and said, "My lord, we almost attacked you just now. We deserve to die." Hearing this, Yi Chen's eyes widened and then he shouted, "When you are in a war, military orders must be obeyed. What's wrong with following orders?" Hearing this, the soldiers of Samsara city who wanted to atone for their sins with death were stunned. "What's more, you did not recognize me. What's wrong with that?" Yi Chen looked at the soldiers who were stunned and shouted again. Hearing this, the soldiers of Samsara city who wanted to atone for their sins with death were stunned again. In the next second, the soldiers' eyes turned red and they choked with sobs. Only then did they realize that Yi Chen was angry because they wanted to atone for their sins with death, not because they almost attacked Yi Chen. At this moment, the soldiers felt nothing but touched. Because their lord, the general of agile cavalry of the Great Han Empire, Yi Chen, did not take the fact that they almost attacked Yi Chen to heart. Not only did he not take it to heart, but he also went out of his way to enlighten them and untie the knot in their hearts. Although they were born poor, they were not stupid. How could they not see why Yi Chen was angry and scolded them? It was because they could see it that they were moved. Then they could not help but choke with sobs. Looking at the soldiers who were shaking their shoulders, Yi Chen sighed secretly. They were soldiers of Samsara city, Yi Chen's soldiers. They respected Yi Chen, worshipped Yi Chen, and believed in Yi Chen. They were willing to do anything for Yi Chen, even if they had to die. It was because of this fanatical worship and crazy belief that they wanted to atone for their sins with death after they almost attacked Yi Chen. Otherwise they would feel uneasy. How could Yi Chen not see this? It was because of this that Yi Chen took the time to enlighten his subordinate. Otherwise, even if they were stopped today, they would often think of this matter in the future, and it would become their inner demons. Once the inner demons appeared, it was nothing in the beginner's area of the three kingdoms. But after the whole country ascended to the untainted land, it would be difficult for these soldiers to improve. Even if they could improve, they would be possessed by the devil and even explode during cultivation. This was not what Yi Chen wanted to see. Thinking of this, Yi Chen looked at his subordinates and shouted, "You are all soldiers of Samsara city. How can you cry like this? Stand up, all of you. Tell me loudly whether you did anything wrong or not." Chapter 420. That's right. That's right. That's right. The soldiers of Samsara city, who wanted to atone for their sins with their lives, suddenly stood up and shouted. Their eyes were red, not because of anger or crying, but because they were moved. Their lord, the general of agile cavalry of the great Han Empire, Yi Chen, cared for them, loved them, and treated them like his own nephew. At this moment, all the soldiers of Samsara city felt warm in their hearts. At the same time, they worshipped and believed in Yi Chen even more fervently. Not only them, but the soldiers of Samsara city who were in charge of the ground were also very excited. They felt proud to have Yi Chen, who loved them, cared for them, and treated them like his own nephew. Yi Chen looked at the soldiers of Samsara city who no longer felt guilty, and only felt touched. He nodded with satisfaction. Yi Chen naturally wanted to see the soldiers get rid of their inner demons. Yi Chen did not want to see his subordinates be burdened by their inner demons, unable to make any progress or even die. After all, the cultivation after immortal ascension would be affected by one's state of mind. Even Yi Chen could not avoid this. Otherwise, Yi Chen would not have challenged the chieftain of Green Wolf Bastion to a duel not long after the game started. He would also not have agreed to the duel requests of General Wu Huan and Gongsun Zan. When Yi Chen was in Green Wolf Bastion, the chieftain of Green Wolf Bastion was already in the innate realm before he reached the innate realm. At that time, Yi Chen did not flinch when he challenged the chieftain of Green Wolf Bastion, Lang Qing. Yi Chen did that not only to break through but also to have a clear mind. He did not want to have any flaws in his state of mind. Later on, Yi Chen did the same. No matter how strong the opponent was, he never refused the challenge of a duel. All of this was to maintain the perfect state of mind. As for the purpose, it was so that when he ascended to the untainted land, he would be able to cultivate without any obstacles. Others could ignore this, but not Yi Chen. After his rebirth, Yi Chen knew all too well about the dangers of having a flaw in one's state of mind and the inner demons. Therefore, Yi Chen would not allow such a situation to happen to his subordinates. If it were someone else or another player, Yi Chen wouldn't have bothered with them, much less tell them about this. Just as Yi Chen thought of this, a pring sound was heard. Zhou Zong and the soldiers of Samsara city on the city wall knelt down on one knee and shouted, "We pledge our lives to follow the Lord. If we violate this oath, may the heavens and earth destroy us." The 300,000 soldiers roared, their voices shaking the heavens. When Yi Chen saw this, he chuckled and nodded. Then, he looked at Zhou Tsang and said, "Zhou Tsang, you killed the mutants who were spying on Samsara city and obtained a treasure that can duplicate equipment. You've done a great job and deserve a reward. Take it." After saying that, Yi Chen waved his left hand. A Saint-tier cultivation technique, 3 heaven-tier equipment, and a top-tier historical general's soul instantly appeared and flew towards Zhou Tsang. When Zhou Tsang saw the 5 items flying towards him, he was dumbfounded. He knew that Yi Chen would reward him, but he didn't expect Yi Chen's reward to be so generous. Needless to say, the Saint-tier cultivation technique was 100% better than his Emperor-tier cultivation technique. Heaven-tier equipment was already the best in this world. How could it be bad? After all, Zhou Tsang was still holding a mystery-tier weapon. As for the soul of a top-tier historical general, it would only appear after killing a top-tier historical general. However, a top-tier historical general was not that easy to kill. Any top-tier historical general's soul would be coveted by top-tier historical generals and below. This was because once a top-tier historical general's soul was devoured, one would become a top-tier historical general. Zhou Tsang was only a 3rd-tier historical general. How could he not be excited when Yi Chen gave him the soul of a top-tier historical general? As long as he devoured the soul of a top-tier historical general, Zhou Tsang's future would not be limited to being a top-tier historical general. He would be able to command an army like Zhao Meng. Therefore, when Zhou Tsang saw Yi Chen's reward, he was stunned. In the next second, Zhou Tsang came back to his senses and hurriedly reached out to catch the 5 items. After gently placing them on the ground, he knelt on one knee with a bang and then solemnly bowed. This general swears to follow the Lord to the death. This general swears that whatever the Lord orders, this general's blade will point. Even if my body and soul are destroyed, this general will have no regrets. If this general has any thoughts of betrayal, my body and soul will be destroyed and I will never be reincarnated. At this moment, Zhou Tsang only had one thought, and that was to give up everything for Yi Chen. Not only his loyalty, but also his everything, including his life. This was because Yi Chen had given him a limitless future. This was no different from a second parent. How could Zhou Tsang not be moved? How could he not be excited? And the only things he could repay Yi Chen with were his loyalty and his life. Looking at the sincere and solemn Zhou Tsang, Yi Chen chuckled and nodded. Then, he said, "Guard the first door well." "Yes, Lord." Hearing this, Zhou Tsang bowed and replied loudly without hesitation. Yi Chen smiled slightly. Then, with a thought, he flew towards Samsara City. As soon as Yi Chen arrived, a tsunami of cheers rang out. "Greetings, Lord! Greetings, Lord!" Although the voices were not in unison, they shook the sky and buzzed. Obviously, they had heard the shouts of the soldiers on the city wall at the entrance of the Reincarnation Valley. Otherwise, they would not have greeted Yi Chen directly after his arrival. Yi Chen looked at the soldiers on the city wall and the excited people inside and outside the city. He nodded with a smile and then flew towards the Castellan mansion. After Yi Chen left, the people of Samsara City were in an uproar. "Oh my God, I did not expect the Lord to be an immortal. Our lives will be better in the future. Ha ha ha, of course. Our Lord truly loves his people. If it were not for him, at least 80% of us would have starved to death. The rest would have been killed by the Golden Scarf thieves and the demon clan. That's right. It was the Lord who gave us a good life. Without him, we would not have such a good life now." While the people of Samsara City were happily praising Yi Chen's merits, Yi Chen arrived at the Castellan mansion. Before he landed, Yi Chen was stunned. Because there was an additional beautiful building in the Castellan mansion. The moment he saw the building, Yi Chen's eyes widened. The bronze sparrow pavilion was completed. The additional building in the Castellan mansion was the bronze sparrow pavilion that Yi Chen had ordered to speed up. Now, the bronze sparrow pavilion was completed and officially appeared in the world. Looking at the bronze sparrow pavilion on the ground, Yi Chen could not help but smile. Not bad, not bad. Samsara City was safer now. Chapter 421. Thinking of this, Yi Chen looked at the attribute panel of the Copper Sparrow Pavilion. Copper Sparrow Pavilion, unique grade SSS base attribute. Territory fortune permanently increases by 10%. Territory fortune plus 100, stability plus 10, prosperity plus 10. Special attribute 1. Peaceful song and dance. Greatly increases the popularity of the people. Greatly increases the spawn rate of refugees. Once a month, effective for 3 days. Requires 4 beauties. Activated. 2. War of Eradication. Quelling war. Lasts for 3 days. All attacks are ineffective. Once a month. Requires 8 beauties. Not activated. 3. War song. Greatly increases the strength of all soldiers in the territory. Once a month. Requires 16 beauties. Not activated. 4. Resurrection. Against the heavens. Resurrects the dead. Once a month. Requires 81 beauties. Not activated. Seeing that the Copper Sparrow Pavilion's special attribute had not been activated, Yi Chen raised his eyebrows. He then brought Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Jusei to the Copper Sparrow Pavilion. The moment Yi Chen brought the 5 girls to the Copper Sparrow Pavilion, a colorful light exploded from their bodies. At this moment, the system notification sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen. The special attribute of the Copper Sparrow Pavilion, unique War of Eradication, has been activated. When the system's notification ended, the corners of Yi Chen's mouth curled up. Now, even the Daluo Jinxian would not be able to break through the reincarnation city with the Copper Sparrow Pavilion activated. Just as Yi Chen thought of this, Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Ju Sei widened their eyes at the same time. They then looked at Yi Chen and said, "Husband, it's so comfortable here." Once the beauties stayed in the Copper Sparrow Pavilion, they could obtain various benefits. For example, they could relieve fatigue, take care of their bodies, increase their cultivation speed, and so on. If they stayed in the Copper Sparrow Pavilion for a long time, they could even stay young forever. This was why Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Ju Sei felt so comfortable when they arrived at the Copper Sparrow Pavilion. Yi Chen was naturally aware of this, so Yi Chen didn't find it strange that the 5 women were surprised. Looking at the astonished Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Ju Sei, Yi Chen chuckled and asked, "Do you like it here?" Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Ju Sei nodded in unison. "I like it. I'm glad you like it. This place was specially built for the mistress of Samsara City. You can all stay here in the future." Yi Chen smiled and said. Hearing this, Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Ju Sei's eyes lit up. In the next second, the 5 women looked at Yi Chen and shouted happily, "Thank you, husband." At this moment, Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Ju Sei's hearts were filled with joy and happiness. This was because the mistress of Samsara City, that Yi Chen mentioned, represented their identities and represented Yi Chen's promise. It meant that Yi Chen didn't treat them as concubines at all. After all, Yi Chen already had women before. Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Ju Sei all knew this. It was also because of this that they automatically defined their identities as concubines after following Yi Chen. Of course, they didn't have any complaints, resentment, or worry about their identities as concubines. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been willing to follow Yi Chen. But now, Yi Chen's words undoubtedly told them that what they thought before was completely wrong. Yi Chen didn't treat them as concubines at all, but as existences like Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Yen, Mi Zhen, and Huang Wan. For Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Ju Sei, this was something that they longed for but didn't dare to ask. And now, Yi Chen had personally promised them. How could they not be happy? How could they not be excited? It was also at this moment that they realized why Yi Chen had told them before bringing them to Samsara City that they should live in harmony in the future. In fact, that was to tell them that they weren't concubines at all. Yi Chen looked at the happy faces of Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Ju Sei, and nodded with a smile. In the end, the reason why the 5 women were so happy was because of the problem of identity. This was the 3 kingdoms. Although men could have a lot of wives and concubines, there was only one wife. No matter how high the status of the rest was, they could only be concubines. Yi Chen's decision was without a doubt a challenge to the etiquette of this era. The 5 women naturally knew this, but they were all Yi Chen's women. No matter what decision Yi Chen made, they would not oppose it. They would only choose to obey. What's more, this was what they wanted to see, so they couldn't oppose it. As for Yi Chen, how could he allow his woman to have a concubine? If Yi Chen really wanted to divide them into different ranks, it would be easy for problems to arise. Because only the children of the wife had the qualifications to inherit everything of Yi Chen. In this way, even if Zhao Yu and Chan Wan got along well, once they started to have children, it would be easy for there to be intrigue. In the final analysis, it was for the status and the children's future. Throughout the ages, the imperial family, the harem, and the palace were never harmonious. Moreover, there were constant conflicts between the descendants, and even swords were used against each other. Yi Chen was aiming to be the emperor. However, Yi Chen wanted to be the #1 emperor of the myriad worlds. Compared to the emperors of the mortal world, Yi Chen's family, the emperor of myriad worlds, was countless times better. Because the territory was big enough, because the power was strong enough, and because the lifespan was long enough, no one could disobey Yi Chen. No one dared to disobey Yi Chen. Of course, Yi Chen wouldn't let his descendants become like that. However, he had to take precautions in advance. Therefore, Yi Chen didn't hesitate to let Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Yan, Mi Zhen, Huang Wan'er, and now the 5 Zhen sisters have the same status. When I get married, the world will probably be shocked. Thinking of this, Yi Chen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. With a wave of his right hand, 5 two-world stones appeared in his hand. When Zhen Jusei saw the 2-world stones in Yi Chen's hand, she couldn't help but be stunned. Then she asked, "Husband, these are 2-world stones?" When Yi Chen heard this, he couldn't help but be stunned. He didn't expect Zhen Jusei to recognize the 2-world stones. However, when he thought of Zhen Jusei's title of Luoshin from the 3 kingdoms, Yi Chen immediately cleared his doubts. He then smiled and nodded. "Yes, they are indeed 2-world stones. Use them. I'll bring you to my world later." When Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tuo, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Jusei heard this, their eyes lit up. Then, they replied in unison, "Yes, husband." Naturally, they knew Yi Chen's identity as a player. They also knew that Yi Chen came from another world. Now that Yi Chen wanted to bring them to Yi Chen's world, they were naturally happy. After the 5 of them finished speaking, they each took a 2-world stone from Yi Chen's hand and chose to use it without hesitation. When Yi Chen saw this, he smiled and said, "Don't resist. I'll bring you there now." Chapter 422. Yes, husband. Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tuo, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Jiesa responded at the same time after hearing Yi Chen's order. Yi Chen chuckled and nodded. His divine sense moved and enveloped the 5 women. In the next second, Yi Chen directly went offline with a thought. At the same time, Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tuo, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Jiesa disappeared from the Copper Sparrow Pavilion. Reincarnation City, City Lord Manor. Roar! A deafening tiger roar suddenly sounded. Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Yan, Mi Zhen, and Huang Wan'er, who were chatting next to the diamond-level gaming chamber, were overjoyed. Xiao Hu has reached the mortal evolution state. At this moment, the space in the City Lord Manor suddenly twisted. In the next second, Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tuo, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Jiesa suddenly appeared. At the same time, the diamond gaming pod opened. Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Yan, Mi Zhen, and Huang Wan'er were dazed. They didn't expect Yi Chen to return to the real world not long after leaving. This time, he brought back 5 extremely beautiful girls. One of them didn't lose out to the 5 of them at all. The instant Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Yan, Mi Zhen, and Huang Wan'er came back to their senses, Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tuo, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Jiesa quickly went up and bowed. Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tuo, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Jiesa greet sisters. Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Yan, Mi Zhen, and Huang Wan'er immediately understood that Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tuo, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Jiesa would be their sisters from now on. Thinking about this, the 5 girls quickly returned the greeting. They knew Yi Chen's attitude toward the harem. Naturally, they wouldn't treat their future sisters as they wished. Just as they returned the gesture, Yi Chen stood up from the diamond-level gaming cabin. Seeing that the girls were all in harmony, Yi Chen nodded with satisfaction. Just as he was about to speak, a fiery red shadow suddenly leaped over. When Yi Chen saw this, he was stunned. It was a little lowly in a red midriff-bearing outfit. Yi Chen would have swung his fist if it weren't for the familiarity he felt from the little girl and if it weren't for the fact that they were in Samsara City. At this moment, although the real world had not reached the level of Yi Chen's previous life, there were still dangers everywhere. Even a seemingly harmless little loli could take your life. A few months later, the real world would be even more dangerous. At that time, the demons would be able to transform into humans. If one didn't have the ability to recognize demons, they would most likely be killed. Therefore, Yi Chen would not let down his guard against anyone. Even if they looked old and weak, Yi Chen would not ignore them. However, this was Samsara City. There were defensive arrow towers on the city walls that automatically attacked enemies. Inside the city was Yenhu, who had already become an immortal beast. Even if he wasn't a powerful immortal beast, it wasn't a place that just anyone could enter. At this moment, Yi Chen thought of something and was stunned. Yenhu? This was Yenhu, holy shit! How did Yenhu transform? Just as Yi Chen finished thinking, the little lowly threw herself into Yi Chen's arms and rubbed her little head against Yi Chen's chest. Husband, who is this little girl? After greeting Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Ju Sei, Zhao Yu was suddenly stunned and asked in surprise. As soon as Zhao Yu finished speaking, the girls all looked over and were stunned. Zhen Jiang, Zhen Tua, Zhen Dao, Zhen Rong, and Zhen Ju Sei were sure that Yi Chen only brought the 5 of them to the real world. Now that Zhao Yu asked Yi Chen, it was obvious that she didn't know this little lowly. How could they not be surprised? As for Chan Wan, Kai Mei Mi Zhen, and Huang Wan they were sure that only Zhao Yu and them were in Samsara City. Therefore, they were also surprised that there was a little lowly in Samsara City. Yi Chen glanced at the girls and then looked at the little lowly in his arms. He said, "This is Yenhu." As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Mei and Huang Wan who knew Yenhu, immediately shouted in shock. "This is Xiao Hu." Yi Chen glanced at the shocked girls and then nodded. He said, "It's this guy." As soon as Yenhu heard this, she came out of Yi Chen's arms and looked at the girls. She smiled and bowed. "Xiao Hu greets all the big sisters. You're really Xiao Hu?" At this moment, Zhao Yu came in front of Yenhu and looked at Yenhu, who had already transformed into a little lowly. She asked in disbelief. For beasts, the higher the grade, the harder it was to transform. Yenhu was an immortal beast. Under normal circumstances, she would have to wait a long time before she could transform. But the problem was that Yenhu was really transforming at the mortal evolution state. That was why Zhao Yu was so shocked. I'm big sister Zhao Yu's Xiao Hu. The little lowly Yenhu hurriedly nodded and then said with a smile. As soon as Zhao Yu heard this, she was overjoyed. She hugged Yenhu and said excitedly, "That's great. Xiao Hu can talk to big sister in the future." The little lowly Yenhu nodded heavily and then said, Zhao Yu had taken care of Yenhu before, so naturally, she had a deep relationship with Yenhu. Yenhu was closer to the girls than to Zhao Yu. Yi Chen looked at the happy Yenhu and could not help but smile. Then, he opened his mouth and asked. He then asked, "Xiao Hu, where did you find the transformation grass?" Hearing Yi Chen's question, Yenhu was stunned. Yenhu didn't expect her master, Yi Chen, to know the reason why she could transform at the mortal evolution state. After regaining her senses, the little lowly Yenhu hurriedly looked at Yi Chen and said, "Big brother, I found it by the lake in Samsara City. It's so hidden, but it still couldn't escape from Xiao Hu's nose." Hearing this, Yi Chen couldn't help but frown. He then released his spirit sense and covered the entire Samsara City. In the next second, Yi Chen's face darkened. Damn it, how could this be? The transformation grass didn't appear here in his previous life. How could there be so many of them all of a sudden in Samsara City? 32 stalks of transformation grass appeared by the lake formed by the spirit spring. Although the location was very hidden, it couldn't escape Yi Chen's spirit sense. The transformation grass was useless to humans, but it was very useful to the demon race. If they could transform in advance, the demon race's already fast cultivation speed would definitely increase again. This was set by the laws of heaven and earth. Otherwise, the demon race wouldn't have chosen to resist the heavenly tribulation without hesitation and transform into humans after they were strong enough. Of course, this wasn't important. The important thing was that so many transformation grass suddenly appeared in Samsara City. It was too strange. At this moment, Yi Chen suddenly thought of something. His face darkened. He then looked at Yen Hu and asked, "Xiao Hu, did you let that little black cat in?" Hearing this, the little lowly Yen Hu's face turned red. She hurriedly said, "Big brother, I didn't let her in. I swear, you have to believe me." Chapter 423. When Yi Chen heard this, he frowned. It wasn't that Yi Chen didn't believe Yen Hu's words, but this matter was too strange. Transfiguration grass shouldn't have appeared in Samsara City, but it did, and it appeared without warning. If he didn't get to the bottom of this matter, how could Yi Chen enter the game world with peace of mind? After all, Yi Chen's body was in the real world. If something happened in the real world, it would undoubtedly be fatal to Yi Chen. For the safety of the real world, Yi Chen specially brought Yen Hu over at the beginning of the game. Now that something strange had happened in Samsara City, and it wasn't because of Yen Hu, this was a big problem. If some powerful existence had broken into this place, how could Yi Chen be at ease if he didn't find him? As for why Yi Chen asked the little lowly Yen Hu, it was because she had once captured a pure black female cat from the demon clan, brought it to a remote place, and messed around with it. Of course, Yen Hu was a female. Otherwise, Yi Chen wouldn't have said that Yen Hu was messing around. Originally, Yi Chen thought that Yen Hu and the little black cat had played together and developed feelings for each other, and then left the little black cat in Samsara City. That was why the transfiguration grass had mysteriously appeared in Samsara City. But obviously, this wasn't the case. Yen Hu had once messed around with the little black cat from the demon clan, but Yen Hu wouldn't betray Yi Chen because of the little black cat, nor would she lie because of this. This was because Yen Hu was Yi Chen's spiritual beast. Of course, now that Yen Hu had become an immortal beast, but her master-servant relationship with Yi Chen still existed, and it wouldn't change. So, Yen Hu wouldn't lie. What the F***ck is going on? Just as Yi Chen thought of this, a small golden fish suddenly jumped out of the small lake in his consciousness. In the next second, the little golden fish opened its mouth and spat out a round seed. It then flew toward a towering tree by the lake. After 2 breaths, the seed landed at the bottom of the towering tree. Then, with a roll, it accurately rolled to the side of the tree root that had drilled out of the ground. Then, it drilled into the crack between the tree root and the ground. Seeing this, Yi Chen's eyes widened. Treasure-hunting fish, F***ck. No wonder the shape-shifting grass appeared in the Samsara City. So it was because of the treasure-hunting fish. The treasure-hunting fish was a special kind of spirit beast. Its nature was to search for spiritual herbs. Once it found a spiritual herb, it would transport the spiritual herb or its seed to a place with rich spiritual qi and plant it there. In the future, this kind of nature would provide a strong support for the treasure-hunting fish, allowing them to rapidly increase their strength. As for the reason, it was very simple. Every treasure-hunting fish would create a medicinal field completely made up of spiritual herbs. When they reached a certain level of strength, they would eat to their heart's content and quickly shapeshift. In Yi Chen's Samsara City, the treasure-hunting fish hiding in the small lake formed by the spiritual spring had obviously discovered that the spiritual qi of heaven and earth in Samsara City was extremely rich, and there was a spiritual spring here. That was why it had chosen this place as its nest to hide the spiritual medicine. After all, the Samsara City was no different from a blessed place. It could be said that the Samsara City was a treasure land, and a top-notch one at that. Once such a treasure land was discovered by humans or the demon clan, there would be a fierce fight over it. As for special beings and spirit beasts, they would not give up such a place. Compared to purebred demon clans, spirit beasts had a greater need for spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Demons could choose to eat humans to increase their strength, but spirit beasts would not eat humans easily. Of course, wild spirit beasts would attack humans. This was without a doubt. The treasure-hunting fish in the Samsara city was a spirit beast, but it was a young one. Otherwise, it would have swallowed the shape-shifting grass instead of bringing the seeds to the lake in Samsara city and planting them there. As for why it did not plant the seeds in the water, it was because the transformation grass could not grow in water. It could only survive on land. Otherwise, it would have planted the seeds in the water instead of by the lake. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the treasure-hunting fish had used the small lake in the Samsara city as its nest to hide the spiritual herbs. Thinking of this, Yi Chen could not help but smile. Then, he used his consciousness to explore the bottom of the lake. In the next second, Yi Chen's eyes widened. Holy shit! So many spiritual herbs. In Yi Chen's spiritual sense, there were spiritual herbs everywhere at the bottom of the lake. They were densely packed together. With a rough look, no less than half of the lake was filled with spiritual herbs. Of course, most of the spiritual herbs at the bottom of the lake were not mature. But this was not important. What was important was that there were too many spiritual herbs at the bottom of the lake. Damn, he did not expect to attract the treasure-hunting fish after killing the black fish. This was such a good deal. Yi Chen had killed the black fish when the meteor fell. In Yi Chen's previous life, the black fish was a famous master of the monster clan. It called itself the Sky-Devouring Monster King. Yi Chen had taken the star pearl, which allowed him to synchronize his strength with the real world, from the black fish. More accurately, Yi Chen intercepted the astral pearl that He Yu should have obtained in advance. However, Yi Chen managed to snatch it. Later, Yi Chen took over the black fish's nest, which was the lake formed by the spiritual spring in the Samsara city. Yi Chen used the God-level village creation token to build the Samsara village. After upgrading it to Samsara city, the small lake was completely covered. After all, there was a spiritual spring here. The spiritual spring could nurture spiritual fields. The spiritual herbs planted in the spiritual fields could mature quickly. For example, spiritual herbs that took 100 years to mature could mature in a month. It was because of this property of the spiritual spring that Yi Chen took over the spiritual spring. Yi Chen did not want the spiritual spring to be taken away by others. Now, there was an extra treasure-hunting fish in the small lake. Yi Chen was surprised. Of course, it was more of a surprise. No one knew the benefits of spiritual herbs better than Yi Chen. The treasure-hunting fish probably came here through the underground river and used this place as its nest. It kept entering the underground river through the spiritual spring, and then went to other places to bring spiritual herbs here. When Yi Chen thought of this, Zhao Yu hesitated for a moment. Then, she looked at Yi Chen and asked, "Husband, what happened to the little black cat and the little tiger?" When Yi Chen heard this, he came back to his senses and said, "Her." Before Yi Chen finished speaking, the little lowly Yenhu's face turned red. Then, she shouted anxiously, "Brother, don't say anything. I was wrong. When I heard her talk about her sister's experience, I just thought it was fun." When Yi Chen heard this, the corners of his mouth twitched. He then looked at Yenhu and said, "Little tiger, let's change your name. At first, I thought you were male. I didn't expect. Since you've transformed, the name Little Tiger doesn't suit you anymore. From now on, you'll be called Yi Lin." Thank you, brother." When the little lowly Yenhu heard this, her eyes lit up. Then, she nodded her little head and said excitedly. Yi Chen nodded and asked, "Tell me, do you like?" Before Yi Chen finished speaking, the little lowly Yi Lin's face turned pale. She hurriedly shouted, "Brother, I really thought it was fun. That's why I don't like females." Obviously, Yenhu was worried that Yi Chen would misunderstand. Otherwise, she would not be so anxious. When Yi Chen heard this, he heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he looked at the girls and said, "I'll go out for a moment." Chapter 424. When the girls heard this, they all nodded and said, "Yes, husband." Yi Chen smiled faintly and moved his feet, instantly disappearing from the city lord's residence's hall. After Yi Chen left, Zhao Yu looked directly at flaming tiger Yi Lin and couldn't help but ask, Lin Lin, you bullied a little black cat before. She was a female? Obviously, Zhao Yu had gotten the gist of what happened from the conversation between Yi Chen and Yen Hu. Otherwise, she wouldn't have asked this question. Not only Zhao Yu, but also Chan Wan, Kai Meier Mi Zhen, Huang Wan'er, and the 5 beautiful Zhen sisters all covered their mouths and chuckled. Big sister, I beg you. Don't ask any more. That's my muddle-headedness back then. When Yen Hu and Yi Lin heard this, they immediately lowered their little heads and said with a face full of regret. When Zhao Yu heard this, she couldn't help but smile. Then, she patted flaming tiger Yi Lin's head and said, Let bygones be bygones. Don't think too much about it. When Zhao Yu said this, her face suddenly became serious and she continued, Lin Lin, you have to be careful. Lin Lin, you have to remember that you have a great responsibility. Now that you've transformed into a human, you can't be as playful and gluttonous as before. My husband's world seems peaceful, but the air here always gives me a kind of oppressive peace. It seems more and more dangerous. When flaming tiger Yi Lin heard this, she nodded heavily and said seriously, Sister, don't worry. Lin Lin will definitely protect brother seriously. Lin Lin will kill anyone who dares to come near Samsara City. When flaming tiger Yi Lin said this, her murderous aura surged. It's been hard on you. When Zhao Yu heard this, she patted flaming tiger Yi Lin's head apologetically and said. When flaming tiger Yi Lin heard this, she shook her head without hesitation and said, Lin Lin, it's been hard on me. Being able to protect brother is what makes Lin Lin the happiest. Just as Zhao Yu and Yen Hu were talking, Yi Chen came to the small lake behind the city lord's mansion. The corners of Yi Chen's mouth curled up as he looked at the small lake that was rippling because of the fountain. He raised his right hand and grabbed at the lake. In the next second, a small fish with a large head and golden scales jumped out of the water and flew toward Yi Chen. During this process, the small golden fish kept twisting its body, trying to break free. However, no matter how it struggled, it couldn't break free from Yi Chen's control. Just as the small golden fish's eyes were filled with fear, Yi Chen caught it. Jio Jio Jios Jio Jiosazas Jio Jios Jiosas. Jio, it's Jio, it's Jio, it's Jio, it's begging. When Yi Chen saw that the small golden fish had given up all resistance and was begging for mercy in its eyes, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and say, Little kid, you've built a nest here. Little fellow, you've got guts to come to my territory and build a nest without my permission. The small golden fish was the treasure-hunting fish. It was a spiritual beast and naturally understood Yi Chen's meaning. Otherwise, why would Yi Chen talk to it? When Yi Chen finished speaking, the treasure-hunting fish's body couldn't help but tremble a few times. Then, it hurriedly opened its mouth and let out another Jio Jio Jio. At the same time, it tried its best to wave its tail toward the small lake. Its voice was still begging for mercy. Other people might not be able to see the movement of its tail, but Yi Chen could see it clearly. It wanted to tell Yi Chen that there was something in the lake, and it wanted to use the thing in the lake to exchange for his safety. Yi Chen couldn't help but smile as he watched the treasure-hunting fish try its best to beg for mercy and survive in the end. Little guy, this is Samsara City. There are more than one spirit-gathering formation discs here. There is also a spiritual spring in the lake, which is of the highest quality. You know this. Tell me, are you willing to leave such a good place? After Yi Chen said that, the treasure-hunting fish quieted down. After a while, it looked at Yi Chen and chirped again. This time, the sound made by the treasure-hunting fish was clearly different from before. Of course, the sound was the same, but the pitch was completely different. To be precise, the treasure-hunting fish's voice was filled with anger. It would rather die than submit. Obviously, the treasure-hunting fish felt Yi Chen's intention and wanted it to recognize Yi Chen as its master. Yi Chen glanced at the treasure-hunting fish, who would rather die than submit. He raised his eyebrows and said, Little guy, are you really not afraid of death? When the treasure-hunting fish heard this, its body trembled involuntarily. Then, it rolled its eyes and refused to look at Yi Chen. No matter how you looked at it, it was determined to die. When Yi Chen saw this, he smiled and flicked his finger. After a pop sound, a ball of flame suddenly appeared in the air. Then, by bow, started to burn. After the flame appeared, the treasure-hunting fish's body stiffened. Obviously, it was very afraid of fire. Yi Chen pointed at the flame floating in midair with his left hand and said with a smile, "Little guy, I can control the temperature of the flame. Little guy, I can control the temperature of this flame. I can make it raise the temperature little by little. Do you want to try?" When the treasure-hunting fish heard this, its body trembled violently. When Yi Chen saw this, he raised his eyebrows and said again, "This is my territory. This is my territory. This small lake formed by the spirit spring also belongs to me. Do you really not want to live here in the future, cultivate here, and become the strongest existence of the treasure-seeking fish clan?" When the treasure-hunting fish heard this, it was stunned. After a while, the treasure-hunting fish fell silent. This time, Yi Chen did not continue speaking. He gave the treasure-hunting fish enough time to think. This was because Yi Chen wanted to subdue the treasure-hunting fish and make it recognize him as its master. Only then would the treasure-hunting fish's intelligence not decrease and its abilities not decrease. Otherwise, if Yi Chen forced the treasure-hunting fish to recognize him as its master, the treasure-hunting fish's intelligence would be greatly reduced. Even its ability to hunt for treasures would be completely lost. This was not the result that Yi Chen wanted to see. After all, treasure-hunting fish were extremely rare and hard to come by. Now that Yi Chen had encountered one, how could he possibly destroy the treasure-hunting fish's innate ability? To put it simply, Yi Chen had a way to force the treasure-hunting fish to recognize him as its master. However, this method could not be used. If it was used, the treasure-hunting fish would become a mentally retarded fish without the ability to hunt for treasures. This was a common characteristic of all spirit beasts. If a spirit beast was forced to recognize him as its master, its innate ability would disappear and it would become mentally retarded. In order to perfectly subdue a spirit beast, the simplest and most direct method was to do it when the spirit beast was born. Once that period passed, the spirit beast would be disgusted with its master. As time passed, it would become more and more disgusted. Once it reached adulthood, the spirit beast would definitely not recognize him as its master. At this moment, the treasure-hunting fish had already passed the period when it was born. Therefore, Yi Chen could only use threats and promises to make the treasure-hunting fish recognize him as its master. As time passed, the treasure-hunting fish suddenly opened its mouth and let out a chirping sound. This time, the chirping sound was different from before. To put it simply, the chirping sound was filled with subservience. When Yi Chen heard this cry of subservience, his eyes widened and he laughed maniacally. "Damn, I finally succeeded." Chapter 425. Yi Chen had spent so much effort to coerce and tempt the treasure-hunting fish, all for the sake of making it acknowledge him as its master. Now, the treasure-hunting fish let out a cry of submission. Naturally, it had given up resisting and was ready to recognize Yi Chen as its master. This was undoubtedly the result that Yi Chen wanted to see the most. The reason was simple. After taming the treasure-hunting fish, it would continue to search for spiritual herbs or their seeds for Samsara City. This was what Yi Chen had always wanted to do but never did. There was a spiritual spring in Samsara City. The spiritual spring could nurture spiritual fields and spiritual fields could shorten the growth period of spiritual herbs. Therefore, Yi Chen planned to search for spiritual herbs in the real world when he was free and plant them in the spiritual fields in Samsara City. This way, Samsara City could continue to produce spiritual herbs, and the production of spiritual herbs would only increase. When there were more spiritual herbs, Yi Chen or Yi Chen's subordinates could use them to cultivate and increase their cultivation level quickly. Now, the treasure-hunting fish wanted to acknowledge him as its master. Once it did, the treasure-hunting fish could search for spiritual herbs in the water, and Yi Chen would not have to worry about it. If the treasure-hunting fish was strong enough to transform, Yi Chen would not have to worry about spiritual herbs on land. Of course, this would take time, but it was not important. What was important was that the treasure-hunting fish could search for spiritual herbs for Yi Chen. With the treasure-hunting fish, Samsara City could start to stock up on spiritual herbs, and there would be more in the future. Thinking of this, Yi Chen's lips curled. He raised his left hand and stretched out his index finger. A drop of bright red blood essence was forced out by Yi Chen. Plop! Yi Chen's blood essence dripped onto the treasure-hunting fish's head. In the next second, a bloody light shone brightly and complex runes appeared on the treasure-hunting fish's head. At the same time, the drop of blood essence from Yi Chen was quickly absorbed by the treasure-hunting fish. When Yi Chen's blood was completely absorbed, a strange connection suddenly appeared between Yi Chen and the treasure-hunting fish. Yi Chen laughed heartily when he felt the warmth from the treasure-hunting fish. Then, he looked at the treasure-hunting fish and said, "There are 2 spirit-gathering formation discs in Samsara City. 2 of them are of the Heaven Stage Superior Grade and 1 is of the Earth Stage Superior Grade. They gather the spiritual chi of heaven and earth at a very fast speed and can produce spiritual stones automatically. You can use spiritual stones for cultivation in the future to improve your strength as soon as possible. That way you'll be safer when you encounter the demons in the water. If the spirit herbs at the bottom of the lake mature, you can also eat them. However, don't eat those rare spirit herbs. That will cause the rare spirit herbs to go extinct. Remember, when you go out to look for spirit herbs, don't be greedy and ignore the dangers. If you find a high-grade spirit herb, you can remember its location and tell me when I come back." When the treasure-hunting fish heard this, its eyes lit up. It opened its mouth and made a swallowing motion. When Yi Chen saw this, he couldn't help but laugh. He then asked, "You can eat spiritual stones too?" When the treasure-hunting fish heard this, its eyes lit up with anticipation. It then swung its tail wildly. No matter how you looked at it, it was telling Yi Chen that it could eat spiritual stones. There was no problem at all. Yi Chen looked at the treasure-hunting fish's expectant eyes and smiled. Then, with a thought, he opened his mouth and said, "Yi Lin, bring me a few spiritual stones." In the city lord's mansion of Samsara City, Yen Hu, who was chatting with Zhao Yu and the others, was suddenly stunned. He quickly replied, "Yes, brother." The master of the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin was Yi Chen. She had a special connection with Yi Chen. As long as Yi Chen was not too far away from the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin, he could directly transmit his thoughts to the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin. Of course, there was a prerequisite. The Flaming Tiger Yi Lin had to transform. After the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin finished speaking, she hurriedly ran to a corner of the hall. She casually took 6 spiritual stones from the small mountain and rushed to the city lord's mansion's main gate. Not long after, the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin arrived at the small lake. Just as she was about to speak, she was stunned. The Flaming Tiger Yi Lin saw the treasure-hunting fish in Yi Chen's hand. In Samsara City, other than Yi Chen, who was usually in the game world, there was only the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin. Of course, Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, and the others would come over from time to time. But other than them, there were no other living creatures in Samsara City. But now, the strange fish in Yi Chen's hand was obviously a living creature. At this thought, the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin's little face suddenly froze. She was responsible for the safety of Yi Chen. But now, a fish suddenly appeared in Samsara City. Even if the fish was not a powerful spiritual beast, it was still a living creature, or rather, an intruder. For the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin, this was undoubtedly the last thing she wanted to see. This meant that she had failed in her duty, and it was a very serious failure. Thinking of this, Yen Hu and Yi Lin's entire tiger felt unwell. When Yi Chen saw the extremely ugly expression on the flaming tiger Yi Lin's face, he could not help but be stunned. Then, he realized why the flaming tiger Yi Lin had suddenly become like this. This guy, thinking of this, Yi Chen could not help but smile. Then, he said, "This is the treasure-hunting fish. From now on, it's called Little Fish. It's very good at hiding. Plus, it's in the water. It's normal that you couldn't find it. Don't blame yourself." When the flaming tiger Yi Lin heard this, she immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Then, she said, "Brother, I'll check every place more carefully in the future, including the water." After saying this, the flaming tiger Yi Lin glared at the treasure-hunting fish fiercely. Then, she handed the spiritual stones in her hand to Yi Chen. The flaming tiger Yi Lin did not want to do anything to the treasure-hunting fish. She just felt that she had lost face. She was a dignified, immortal beast. However, she had been deceived by a treasure-hunting fish for who knew how long. How could she be happy about this? When Yi Chen saw the unconvinced look in Yen Hu's eyes, he helplessly shook his head. Then, he looked at the treasure-hunting fish, whose entire body had tensed up when Yen Hu appeared. He chuckled and said, "Don't be afraid. Do your job well. When the time is right, you can also advance to become an immortal beast." The treasure-hunting fish's body tensed up naturally. After all, it was a spiritual beast, and the flaming tiger Yi Lin had already become an immortal beast. Although the treasure-hunting fish knew that the flaming tiger Yi Lin would not kill it, it still could not help but feel afraid. This was something that could not be helped. If there was anything to blame, it could only blame the flaming tiger Yi Lin for being of a higher grade than the treasure-hunting fish. Otherwise, it would not be like this. After hearing Yi Chen's words, the treasure-hunting fish's eyes suddenly lit up. It was obvious that Yi Chen's words had stimulated it. In fact, this was the case. After all, becoming an immortal beast was the lifelong goal of every spiritual beast. Simply put, all spiritual beasts wanted to become immortal beasts. However, there were very few who could actually become immortal beasts. Yi Chen looked at the excited treasure-hunting fish and could not help but smile. Then, he said, "You've been in the water for a while now. Go back quickly so that you don't die. Remember, cultivate as soon as possible and increase your strength. Don't risk going to dangerous places to look for spiritual herbs." Chapter 426. Hearing this, the treasure-hunting fish swayed its tail left and right. Then, it jumped into the lake with a splash under Yi Chen's right hand. In the next second, the treasure-hunting fish floated to the surface and stared at the spiritual stones in Yi Chen's hand. Looking at the treasure-hunting fish's eager eyes, Yi Chen laughed out loud and threw the spiritual stone in his hand into the lake. Plop, plop. 5 spirit stones fell into the lake, and the 6th spirit stone was swallowed by the treasure-hunting fish. When Yi Chen saw this, he was stunned for a moment before his eyes lit up. Damn, he almost forgot about the special storage space in the treasure-hunting fish's body. The special storage space in the treasure-hunting fish could not only store inanimate objects, but also living creatures. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the special storage space in the treasure-hunting fish's body would expand as its cultivation level increased. If the special storage space in the treasure-hunting fish's body expanded to a certain extent, it could snatch some spiritual beast eggs. Once the treasure-hunting fish snatched enough spiritual beast eggs, every soldier in Samsara City could have a spiritual beast. To Yi Chen, this was undoubtedly what he wanted to see the most. A Samsara City army with spiritual beasts and a Samsara City army without spiritual beasts were two completely different concepts. If the army of Samsara City was abnormal at this moment, then the army of Samsara City that had obtained the spiritual beasts would be even more abnormal, to the extreme. The stronger the Samsara City army was, the more Yi Chen liked it. This was without a doubt. Although spiritual beasts were external forces were also a type of strength. As for where spiritual beast eggs could be found, no one knew better than Yi Chen at this moment. There were countless islands in the vast ocean. This was the case both in the real world and in the game world. Among these islands there were some special islands that had spirit beasts. Some islands had very few spiritual beasts, while others had many. Some even formed a large group. Other than the islands, there were also countless spiritual beasts of the water tribe in the vast ocean. In some remote forests there were many spiritual beasts of the bird tribe. Of course, there were also many spiritual beasts of the land tribe. Where there were spirit beasts, there was an 80% chance that spirit beast eggs would appear. This was because some spirit beasts were born alive and did not lay eggs. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the number of spirit beasts that laid eggs far exceeded the number of spirit beasts that were born. And Yi Chen's target was these spirit beast eggs. Of course, Yi Chen only came up with this idea when he remembered that the treasure-hunting fish had a special storage space. This was something that could not be helped. Yi Chen did not have the time nor the energy to do so. Even if he knew about the spirit beast eggs, he had no way to plunder them. But things were different now. A treasure-hunting fish had come to Samsara City and had already recognized Yi Chen as its master. So, Yi Chen immediately came up with this idea. Of course, there was a prerequisite for the treasure-hunting fish to be in charge of searching for the eggs. The treasure-hunting fish had to be strong enough. Although the treasure-hunting fish was very good at hiding, that was only in the water. If it went ashore, the treasure-hunting fish's hiding ability would be reduced. Moreover, even if the treasure-hunting fish could survive out of water for a period of time, it would not be able to walk freely on land. Thus, the treasure-hunting fish needed to increase its strength. It did not need to be too strong. It just needed to reach the mortal evolution state. Once it reached the mortal evolution state, the treasure-hunting fish would be able to eat the transformation grass and transform. This way, the restriction on land would disappear. The treasure-hunting fish would be able to wander around on land and water, searching for spirit beast eggs everywhere. Thinking about this, Yi Chen could not help but smirk. Then, he looked at the treasure-hunting fish and said, "Little fish, work hard in cultivating. When you reach the mortal evolution state, eat the transformation grass and search for spirit beast eggs everywhere for me." Hearing this, the treasure-hunting fish's eyes lit up. Then, it quickly nodded its head. Of course, the treasure-hunting fish's head could not nod, but at this moment, the treasure-hunting fish could still move its head up and down in the water. As for why the treasure-hunting fish was so excited, it was very simple. Yi Chen wanted it to work hard in cultivating, so he would definitely provide it with spirit stones. That way, it could rapidly increase its strength and reach the mortal evolution state, which was the minimum requirement to eat the transformation grass. For the treasure-hunting fish, transforming into a human was something it had always dreamed of. Otherwise, why would it be so excited? Of course, the treasure-hunting fish could not reject Yi Chen's order because it already recognized Yi Chen as its master. Seeing the excited treasure-hunting fish, Yi Chen smiled and nodded. Then, he looked at the flaming tiger Yi Lin. However, before Yi Chen could speak, the flaming tiger Yi Lin looked at Yi Chen with glowing eyes and asked, "Big brother, is it a fish? Big brother, is that little fish really a treasure-hunting fish?" Yi Chen was dazed for a moment before nodding. It is indeed a treasure-hunting fish. Why, before Yi Chen could finish his sentence, the flaming tiger Yi Lin jumped into the lake with glowing eyes. Yi Chen's words stopped abruptly. Plop! Large waves splashed on the surface of the lake. The flaming tiger Yi Lin also dived into the water at this moment. When Yi Chen saw this, the corner of his mouth twitched. Then, he raised his right hand and sucked in the air. In the next second, the flaming tiger Yi Lin, who had just dived into the water, was pulled back by Yi Chen. "Wow, big brother, there are so many spirit herbs at the bottom of the lake!" The flaming tiger Yi Lin shouted excitedly as soon as it left the water. When Yi Chen heard this, his face darkened. Then, he scolded, "The spirit herbs aren't ripe yet. You're not allowed to eat them. You're also not allowed to eat those in small quantities. Otherwise, I'll put a pile of spirit herbs in front of you so that you can see them but not eat them." Yi Chen had known about Yenhu's gluttony for a long time. However, the spiritual herbs were crucial to the rapid improvement of the Samsara City Army's strength. Even if Yenhu was greedy, Yi Chen could not let Yenhu eat the spiritual herbs casually. However, this was only temporary. When there were enough spirit herbs, the flaming tiger Yi Lin could eat as much as she wanted. Yi Chen wasn't worried. When the treasure-hunting fish in the lake saw this, its expressionless fish face suddenly twitched. No matter how you looked at it, it seemed to be snickering. The flaming tiger Yi Lin was about to say something. However, when she was about to speak, she saw the treasure-hunting fish snickering. She was furious. Then, she shouted at the treasure-hunting fish, "When Big Brother leaves, I'll definitely roast you." The treasure-hunting fish's face, which had just returned to normal, suddenly froze. Then, it looked at Yi Chen pitifully. When Yi Chen saw this, he shook his head helplessly. Then, he flicked the flaming tiger Yi Lin's forehead. "Pah!" A loud sound followed. The flaming tiger Yi Lin couldn't help but rub her forehead. Then, she looked at Yi Chen and said with a wronged expression, "Big Brother, you're biased." When Yi Chen heard this, the corner of his mouth twitched. Then, he asked, "You? Don't throw a tantrum. Xiaoyu is much smaller than you." Moreover, the spirit herbs at the bottom of the lake were all transported by Xiaoyu from other places. These spirit herbs will become your snacks in the future. Do you really have the heart to bully Xiaoyu? When the flaming tiger Yi Lin heard this, her eyes lit up. Then, she quickly shook her head and said, "Big Brother, I promise I won't bully Xiaoyu." When the flaming tiger Yi Lin said this, she looked directly at the treasure-hunting fish. Then, with a kind face, she said, "Xiaoyu, you have to work hard and get more snacks for me. Do you hear me?" When the treasure-hunting fish saw the half-threatening, half-commanding expression of the flaming tiger Yi Lin, the fish suddenly shivered. Then, it hurriedly nodded its head. Chapter 427. Flaming tiger Yi Lin saw how obedient the treasure-hunting fish was. She smiled and said, "Good girl. What a good child. Work hard. I believe that you will be able to transform within 7 days, right?" Hearing this, the treasure-hunting fish was stunned. It didn't expect flaming tiger Yi Lin to want it to transform in 7 days. She was making things difficult for the fish. After coming back to its senses, the treasure-hunting fish wanted to say that it was impossible. However, when it saw Yenhu and Yi Lin's ferocious gaze, it immediately shivered and looked at Yi Chen as if asking for help. When Yi Chen saw this, he helplessly shook his head. He then looked at Yenhu and Yi Lin and said, "Little fish's power is still a bit low. You'll be responsible for giving it spirit stones so it can improve its power as soon as possible. But remember, little fish is different from you. It can't eat too much. Don't mess around or else." Yi Chen's face turned serious as he said this. When Yenhu and Yi Lin saw Yi Chen's serious expression, they immediately stuck out their tongues and cheekily said, "Big Brother, I'm just scaring little fish so that it won't slack off." When the treasure-hunting fish in the lake heard this, it quickly shook its head. No matter how you looked at it, it wouldn't slack off at all. Yi Chen glared at flaming tiger Yi Lin and said, "You've already reached the mortal state. You've reached the mortal evolution state. There won't be anyone stronger than you in this world for now, but don't neglect cultivation because of this. Soon, there will be more and more powerful beings. If you slack off, you'll be surpassed very soon. Do you understand?" "Brother, don't worry. I will definitely not slack off." When Yenhu and Yi Lin heard this, they heavily nodded their heads before replying in an incomparably serious manner. When Yi Chen heard this, he nodded his head in satisfaction and said, "All right, it's time for me to head back. Stay here and protect Samsara City well." Flaming tiger Yi Lin nodded and said, "Don't worry, Big Brother. I promise I won't let any demon or outsider break into Samsara City. As soon as Flaming Tiger Yilin said that, there was a violent howl outside Samsara City. Meow. Yi Chen frowned and looked at Flaming Tiger Yilin. The reason why Yi Chen reacted this way was because he had immediately recognized the cat's meow. It was the miserable howl of the little black cat that Yen Hu and Yi Lin had messed around with back then. Yi Chen had once obtained a heaven-grade soul-gathering array disc from the little black cat and had spoken to the little black cat before, so he remembered its voice. At this moment, the black cat was obviously injured. However, it did not go anywhere else but to the Samsara City. Obviously, it wanted to ask Yen Hu and Yi Lin for help. And this was why Yi Chen frowned. After all, the demon race and the human race were mortal enemies. But now, the little black cat had run to Yi Chen's territory to seek help from Yi Chen's fairy pet, the Flaming Tiger Yilin. It would be strange if Yi Chen ignored it. Flaming Tiger Yilin, who was next to Yi Chen, was stunned. Then, her expression changed. Clearly, she had also recognized who was howling in pain. Big brother, I didn't contact her. Trust me, big brother, Flaming Tiger Yilin explained anxiously to Yi Chen after she came to her senses. Yi Chen glanced at Yilin. He didn't say anything. He released his divine sense and covered an area of 300 miles around Samsara City. In the next second, Yi Chen's eyes widened. How dare you attack the Samsara City? At this thought, Yi Chen's divine sense locked onto a place 10 miles west of Samsara City. There was an army of millions of demon beasts. Their leader was the little black cat's sister, the big tabby cat. However, the big tabby cat didn't care about sisterhood at all. She stared coldly at the little black cat who was vomiting blood at her feet. The big tabby cat was the cause of the little black cat's howl. Seeing this, Yi Chen couldn't help but be stunned. Then, his eyes narrowed. Trick of injuring oneself? They wanted to lure the Flaming Tiger Yilin away from Samsara City so that they could kill the Flaming Tiger Yilin outside the city. Then they could attack Samsara City. Yi Chen's face darkened at this thought. But he soon realized that something was wrong. No, how could this demon beast army not be afraid of the Flaming Tiger Yilin's immortal beast aura? Could it be? At this thought, Yi Chen's divine sense began to carefully examine each demon beast. In the next second, Yi Chen's divine sense locked onto the big tabby cat. More accurately, it locked onto the beast tooth necklace on the big tabby cat's neck. Yi Chen's eyes widened the moment he saw the beast tooth necklace. It was a necklace made from the howling celestial dog's teeth. No wonder these millions of demon beasts weren't afraid of the Flaming Tiger Yilin's immortal beast aura. The howling celestial dog was a divine beast. It could completely ignore the Flaming Tiger Yilin's immortal beast aura. Yi Chen frowned as the thought crossed his mind. No. Even if there were many of these demon beasts, and they could lure the Flaming Tiger Yilin out of Samsara City, they couldn't kill the Flaming Tiger Yilin with the necklace made from the howling celestial dog's teeth. They couldn't kill the Flaming Tiger Yilin. If I were in the game world, the Flaming Tiger Yilin would definitely wake me up. This way, these millions of demon beasts wouldn't be able to break into Samsara City. These demon beasts couldn't be so stupid. They didn't know this, no, they had the confidence. At this thought, Yi Chen's divine sense began to scan the millions of demon beasts once again. Not long after, Yi Chen's divine sense locked onto a little black dog hiding in the middle of the demon beast army. It didn't have a special appearance and looked very ordinary. However, Yi Chen immediately locked onto it. This was because the demon beasts around it were all trembling. The closer they were to it, the more they trembled. It was obvious that they were afraid of it. There was only one reason for this phenomenon. The little black dog's strength was far stronger than the demon beast. In other words, the little black dog's level was above the demon beast. Otherwise, this wouldn't have happened. It was at least at the fairy level. Yi Chen's eyes widened at this thought. Impossible! There were no demon beasts in the real world that had advanced to the fairy level. When Yi Chen thought of this, a term instantly appeared in his mind: summoning the altar. Damn it, this little black dog must have been sacrificed a large number of sacrifices by these demon beasts. That was how it came to the real world through the summoning altar. At this thought, Yi Chen's eyes lit up. Oh shit! A treasure trove of experience. The weakest of the demon race in the ancient world was a fairy. Of course, the so-called fairies were the demon race that ascended to the ancient world in the real world. As for the real ancient world natives, the weakest of them could reach the level of a small demon at birth. This level was far higher than Yi Chen's mortal evolution state. This little black dog was clearly a native of the ancient world. Therefore, its strength was at least at the level of a small demon. As long as Yi Chen could kill this little black dog, he would definitely gain a huge amount of experience. This was because the little black dog came from the ancient world. In the real world, such an existence was exactly the same as a monster in a game. Killing it would give experience, and it was extremely generous. This was why Yi Chen said that this little black dog was a treasure trove of experience. At this thought, Yi Chen immediately looked up to the sky and laughed. There's a path to heaven, but you didn't take it. There's no door to hell, but you came here yourself. Chapter 428. Flaming Tiger Yilin, who had been worried that Yi Chen would misunderstand, was taken aback when she heard this. When she recovered her senses, she hurriedly opened her mouth to say, "Big brother, that little black cat can." Obviously, Flaming Tiger Yilin could tell that Yi Chen was about to go on a killing spree, and that he would kill the little black cat. But she did not want the little black cat to die. After all, Flaming Tiger Yilin had done something to the little black cat before, and that was why she had opened her mouth to plead for mercy. But she did not dare to continue, because she was worried that Yi Chen would misunderstand, and even blame her. That was not the outcome she wanted to see. When Yi Chen heard this, his brows furrowed, and he turned to look at Flaming Tiger Yilin to ask, "Are you sure?" Flaming Tiger Yilin had pleaded with Yi Chen to let the little black cat off, not because she liked the little black cat, but out of guilt. This point, Yi Chen could tell, because Flaming Tiger Yilin had said before that she did not like females. She could not possibly lie to Yi Chen, nor could she lie to Yi Chen. Otherwise, Flaming Tiger Yilin would definitely be punished by the contract, and it would be a very severe punishment at that. But this little black cat was most likely here to play the trick of injuring itself to gain sympathy, so Yi Chen wanted to kill the little black cat right away. And now, Yi Chen was pleading for mercy because he wanted to put an end to the past. This point Yi Chen could tell, and he would not reject this request. After all, Yi Chen's target was the little black dog, and not the little black cat. When Flaming Tiger Yilin heard this, she was silent for a moment, then nodded lightly and said, "Big brother, this is the first time, and also the last time. If she appears again, I will kill her without hesitation. Letting her off this time can be considered as compensation for what she did the other time." When Yi Chen heard this, he glanced at Flaming Tiger Yilin and nodded. "All right, go to the City Lord's mansion now and tell your sisters to return to that world first." When the Flaming Tiger Yilin heard this, she was stunned. Then, she asked in surprise, "Big brother, is it very dangerous outside?" Yi Chen glanced at Flaming Tiger Yilin, whose expression had changed drastically, and said with a chuckle, "It's a little dangerous, but it's not much. All right, let's hurry over and inform them to return to that world." Yi Chen was not worried about the black puppy, because it was summoned. No matter how high its level was, it could not be that high. After all, the quality of the offerings in the real world was generally low. It was impossible to summon demons that were ridiculously powerful. However, while Yi Chen was not worried, Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Huang Wan'er, Kai Mei'er, and the 5 Jin sisters were not. They were not military generals. They could not deal with demons, even demonic beasts. If the black puppy suddenly cast a demonic spell on Samsara City, it would be a disaster. Therefore, Yi Chen asked Flaming Tiger Yilin to immediately inform Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Mei Mi Zhen, Huang Wan and the 5 Zhen sisters to leave the real world as soon as possible. Yi Chen did this to ensure that nothing would go wrong. When the flaming tiger Yi Lin heard this, her face suddenly darkened. Then, she gnashed her teeth and said, "Big brother, I take back what I said before. Kill that black puppy. Don't let any of them go." After saying this, the flaming tiger Yi Lin hurried to the city lord's mansion. Obviously, the flaming tiger Yi Lin understood the hidden meaning in Yi Chen's words. Otherwise, she would not be so angry. The so-called black puppy was not in danger. It was a trap for Yi Chen and Samsara City. And it was a very powerful trap. Otherwise, Yi Chen would not say this. The flaming tiger Yi Lin knew how powerful Yi Chen was. 10 of her, even 100 of her, could not defeat one Yi Chen. In other words, there was no human or demon in the world that could threaten Yi Chen. Now that Yi Chen said it was dangerous outside, it was really dangerous. Otherwise, Yi Chen would not let Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, and the others go back to the game world. Yi Chen looked at the departing Yi Lin and sighed inwardly. Then, he looked in the direction of the west of Samsara City and smiled coldly. "Since you're here, don't even think about leaving. Be obedient and become my experience points." Thinking of this, Yi Chen stomped on the ground with his right foot. Bang! There was a loud sound. Yi Chen jumped up and rushed to the west gate of Samsara City. After a few jumps, Yi Chen came to the top of the city wall. Looking at the dense army of monsters 10 miles away, Yi Chen curled his lips in disdain. They were just a bunch of trash. Yi Chen did not care about them at all. The city lord's mansion. When the flaming tiger Yi Lin arrived, she hurriedly looked at Zhao Yu and the others and shouted, "Sister, hurry up and go back to that world. It's dangerous here." Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Mei Mi Zhen, Huang Wan and Jin Jiesa all changed their expressions when they heard this. Then, they all looked at the flaming tiger Yi Lin and shouted, "Lin Lin, help us. Lin Lin, quickly go and help your husband. We're leaving now." If there was danger in this world, it meant that Yi Chen was in danger. This was not something they wanted to see. Therefore, they wanted the flaming tiger Yi Lin to help Yi Chen immediately. "Sisters, don't worry. I'll go over now." The flaming tiger Yi Lin nodded heavily and said. Then, she hurriedly turned around and rushed out of the city lord's mansion. "Let's go back to that world quickly. We can't distract our husband." When Zhao Yu saw the flaming tiger Yi Lin rushing out of the city lord's mansion, she heaved a sigh of relief. Then, she looked at the girls and said. When Chan Wan, Kai Mei Mi Zhen, Huang Wan and Jin Jiesa heard this, they all nodded and said, "Okay." In the next second, the girls all disappeared from the city lord's mansion of Samsara City. In the real world, on the west wall of Samsara City. After using his divine sense to detect that the girls had returned to the game world, Yi Chen heaved a sigh of relief and jumped down from the city wall without hesitation. Bang! Yi Chen landed on the ground with a loud sound. After that, he quickly rushed 5 kilometers west of the city. Not long after, the flaming tiger Yi Lin arrived at the top of the city wall. Then, she jumped down from the city wall and chased after Yi Chen. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, Yi Chen arrived in front of the demonic beast army. The monster army, which was waiting quietly, was stunned when they saw Yi Chen suddenly appear. Then, they burst into an uproar. "Yi Chen! It's Yi Chen! He's not in the game! What should we do? Didn't they say that Yi Chen is in the game? He just took in a few sisters of Jin Jiesa in the game world. Damn it, he's the #1 person in the human race. And he killed many of our monster race comrades. Let's retreat. Damn it, we shouldn't have come. It's all De Hua's fault." The monster beasts expressed their fear one after another. Groups of monster beasts began to retreat. No matter how you looked at it, they were afraid of Yi Chen. They were afraid of Yi Chen and wanted to escape from here as soon as possible. However, Yi Chen only smiled coldly. The monster beast's clumsy performance was more exaggerated than those exaggerated movies. They couldn't be more fake. Damn it, you're afraid. You should retreat. Even if you're a little nervous, it would be good. Unfortunately, they didn't. The monster beasts said that they were afraid, but their eyes were full of mockery and their faces were full of excitement. Looking at the monster army that was still clumsily performing, Yi Chen curled his lips in disdain. Then, he looked at the black puppy that was still hiding in the monster army and shouted, "Idiot, how long do you want to hide?" Chapter 429. As soon as Yi Chen finished his words, the army of beasts that were noisy just now quietened down. Then, all of them widened their eyes in shock. They never thought that Yi Chen would discover the little black dog hiding in the army of beasts so easily. Of course, this wasn't important. What was important was that Yi Chen called the little black dog idiot. He wasn't being polite at all. Originally, they thought that when Yi Chen chased after them, they would start running. Then, the little black dog would catch Yi Chen off guard and kill him. But now, it seemed that Yi Chen had seen through all of this. Not only did he see through their act, but he also recognized the little black dog. It was because of this that the beasts were so shocked. Of course, they were even more shocked that Yi Chen dared to be so arrogant after discovering the little black dog's secret. How dare you be so arrogant when you're only in the mortal evolution state? Kid, I'll teach you how to behave today. A cold snort suddenly sounded just as the army of beasts was still in shock. In the next second, the little black dog hiding in the army of beasts grew in the wind and became a huge black dog the size of a small mountain. At the same time, a thick black aura appeared around the black dog's body and circled around it. At this moment, a domineering and tyrannical pressure was released without restraint. As the black dog's aura was released without restraint, the beasts around it began to tremble. Plop, plop, plop. The sound of them kneeling on the ground could be heard. Yi Chen glanced at the huge black dog that suddenly became extremely domineering and was surrounded by black aura. He curled his lips in disdain. "Little crooked demon, how dare you act like this? If it was a big demon, I might have some scruples. Unfortunately, you're not." The black aura was demonic aura. Only a real demon would have demonic aura. And this big black dog that had returned to its original form was surrounded by demonic aura. The characteristics of a demon were very obvious. Yi Chen was very clear about this characteristic of the demon race. As for the method to confirm the black dog's level, it was very simple. Yi Chen did not sense any strong sense of danger from the black dog demon. Although ordinary lesser demons could pose a slight threat to Yi Chen, they would not make Yi Chen feel a sense of crisis. If it could really make Yi Chen feel threatened, then it had to be at least a great demon. Of course, this was under the premise that Yi Chen's strength hadn't increased. If Yi Chen's strength continued to rise, not even a great Yao would be able to make Yi Chen feel threatened. At the thought of this, Yi Chen smiled coldly. A tyrannical and brutal aura suddenly exploded and met the pressure emitted by the black dog demon. Yi Chen cultivated the 9 revolutions mystic attack. He cultivated both his body and soul, so there was basically no upper limit to his combat strength. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the 9 revolutions mysterious attack was a combat technique. The more he fought, the faster Yi Chen improved. Moreover, it was an all-round improvement. Especially when he faced a stronger existence, his improvement was the fastest. This was also one of the reasons why Yi Chen did not use the heaven-shaking bow and the heaven-shaking arrow. To put it simply, Yi Chen wanted to confirm the black dog's strength. If it was a great demon, Yi Chen would not hesitate to use the spiritual treasure to blast the black dog into pieces. If it was a lesser demon, Yi Chen would naturally make another choice. He would not kill it instantly, but rather fight it. It was not easy to meet a small fiend that was summoned to the lower realm. Naturally, Yi Chen wanted to get as many benefits as possible. As for the other reason why Yi Chen did not use the heaven-shaking bow, it was also very simple. If he killed the Black Dog Demon, then the items dropped by the Black Dog Demon would most likely be taken away by other demons. This was not something Yi Chen wanted to see. Now that Yi Chen had confirmed the Black Dog Demon's true strength, he naturally had no more scruples. Thinking about this, Yi Chen narrowed his eyes. A cold light flashed across his eyes. Since you're here, don't leave. Obediently contribute everything to me. To Yi Chen, this Black Dog Demon was a treasure trove of experience. There was danger, but it was not great at all. It could even be ignored. Yi Chen was only in the mortal evolution state, which was lower than the Black Dog Demon. Yi Chen already knew this when he found out that the Black Dog was summoned from the Chaos World. However, Yi Chen was not afraid at all. At this moment in the real world, no matter how high the grade of the sacrifice was, it could not be that high. How could it directly summon a demon king from the Chaos World? At most, it would be at the level of a great demon. Even if the Black Dog was a great demon, Yi Chen was not worried. This was because Yi Chen had the Khanate Cardinal Treasure Godslayer, the Khanate Spirit Treasure Fire Spirit Pearl, the Supreme Grade Khanate Spirit Treasure Fall Coin, the Acquired Spirit Treasure, the Heaven-Shaking Arrow, and the Heaven-Shaking Arrow. Any one of them could instantly kill a great demon. Unless the Black Dog was a demon king, then Yi Chen would really not be able to instantly kill it. Spirit treasures were awesome, but in the face of absolute suppression, Yi Chen could not do anything. However, the Demon King could not be summoned at this time, so Yi Chen was not worried at all. Fortunately, the Black Dog Demon appeared here. Otherwise, the human race would most likely be devoured by it. Just as Yi Chen thought about this, the Black Dog Demon raised its huge dog leg and slammed it down without hesitation. Bang! An earth-shattering sound was instantly heard, and the ground trembled. The demonic beasts around the Black Dog Demon fell to the ground in droves. At the same time, a huge crater appeared under the Black Dog Demon's paw. A large amount of blood spurted out from the crater. Dozens of demons were trampled to the ground by the Black Dog Demon's paw, and then turned into a pile of meat paste. Obviously, the Black Dog Demon did not care about the demons here at all, and did not care about their lives. When the demon army saw this, they were scared out of their wits. They hurriedly ran away, especially the demons in front of the Black Dog Demon. They did not want to be trampled to death by the Black Dog Demon. The Black Dog Demon did not even look at the demon army that was frantically running away. It moved its dog leg again and walked towards Yi Chen. Bang, bang, bang. One step after another, every step caused the earth to shake and the mountains to shake. Deep pits also appeared on the ground one after another. Yi Chen could not help but raise his eyebrows when he felt the intense tremors coming from the ground. If it was a big demon, maybe I would be more cautious. Just as Yi Chen thought of this, in front of the demon army, the big tabby cat, who was still stepping on the little black cat, hurriedly moved its paw away, and then said in a low voice, "Sister, hurry up and leave this place. Yi Chen is very dangerous. Sister, let's leave together." The little black cat flipped over and stood up, and then said anxiously. At this moment, an earth-shattering roar was heard. Roar! Chapter 430. A massive immortal beast pressure came crashing down along with this tiger roar that was filled with killing intent. When the big tabby cat heard this roar, its face changed and it shouted in shock. "Little sister, run! She has reached the mortal evolution state." When the little black cat heard this, it didn't know what to do and fell to the ground. At this moment, a fiery red shadow pounced over and landed on the ground. After a loud bang, the flaming tiger Yilin, who had transformed back into her original form, came to Yi Chen's side. Her two tiger eyes looked at the little black cat with extreme violence, releasing her cold killing intent without hiding it at all. The little black cat opened its mouth but couldn't say anything under the flaming tiger Yilin's stare. You deserve to die. When the flaming tiger Yilin heard this, the killing intent in her tiger eyes soared again. Then, she opened her mouth and shouted coldly. Yenhu, my little sister was forced. She can't go against Master Black Dog's orders. Please, spare her this time. I'm willing to exchange my life for my little sister's life. When the big tabby cat saw the little black cat fall to the ground after the flaming tiger Yilin appeared, it panicked and shouted without thinking. It wanted to take the little tabby cat away, but it knew one thing. It couldn't escape. Even if Yi Chen, whose power was unfathomable, didn't attack, it wouldn't be able to escape. This was because the flaming tiger Yilin was too strong. Just her cultivation state alone was enough to crush it. Moreover, the flaming tiger Yilin was already an immortal beast. Even if Yenhu did not make a move, Yi Chen, who was standing at the side, could easily squash him and the little black cat to death. The big tabby cat completely understood this point. Although the big tabby cat didn't know why Yi Chen didn't kill it and the little black cat, this wasn't important. What was important was that the big tabby cat's sharp senses realized that Yi Chen's true power was too terrifying. Otherwise, how could Yi Chen's aura, which was constantly rising, be on par with the little black dog demon? If there was anyone in the demon race who understood Yi Chen the best, it would be this big tabby cat and the little black cat sisters. No one else understood Yi Chen. Hence, when the big tabby cat realized that Yi Chen's aura was no weaker than the little black dog demon, it sensed danger and called the little black cat to leave quickly. However, it was too late. The flaming tiger Yilin arrived just as they were about to leave. Yi looked at the big tabby cat and looked at the little black cat, then looked at the flaming tiger Yilin and said, Flaming tiger Yilin, you decide for yourself. No matter what you decide, I won't blame you. As for the other demonic beasts, kill them all. If Yi Chen wanted to kill the little black cat, he could burn the little black cat to ashes with a flick of his finger. The reason why Yi Chen didn't kill the little black cat and the big tabby cat after arriving here was because of the flaming tiger Yilin. Yi Chen didn't want the flaming tiger Yilin to develop any inner demons because of the little black cat. It didn't matter whether he killed it or not. What was important was the flaming tiger Yilin's choice. Whether he killed the little black cat or let it go, Yi Chen didn't care. As long as the flaming tiger Yilin didn't develop any inner demons, it was fine. Hearing this, Yenhu and Yilin's extremely cold tiger eyes instantly turned red. Then, they faced the sky and let out an incomparably tyrannical roar. Roar. Yi Chen looked at the flaming tiger Yilin, then walked towards the little black dog demon. Yi Chen walked casually, but the little black dog demon's aura was shocking. A few seconds later, Yi Chen and the little black dog demon met face to face. Looking at the little black dog demon's huge body, Yi Chen curled his lips in disdain. The little black dog demon saw this and narrowed its eyes, then it said in a low voice, Human, how did you find me? The little black dog demon came from the Eldritch world. It thought that it would be invincible here and dominate this world. However, it heard the legends of the human race's number one human, Yi Chen, from the mouths of the demons in the real world. More accurately, it heard about Yi Chen's various deeds. When it heard that Yi Chen could summon the white tiger, it was shocked. Because no matter how weak the white tiger battle formation was, it could still fight it head-on and win more than lose. It was also because of this that the little black dog demon carefully collected information about Yi Chen. When it learned that Yi Chen had a god slayer that could shatter weapons and devour souls, it was shocked again. Because a weapon that could devour souls was at least an immortal weapon, and such a weapon could already hurt it. When it heard all the information about Yi Chen from the demons, the little black dog demon came up with the safest plan. It used the little black cat as bait to lure the flaming tiger Yilin out of the city, then it would kill the flaming tiger Yilin outside the city. Then it would personally attack and destroy the Samsara city. After that, it would kill Yi Chen. Of course, there was a prerequisite. Yi Chen had to be in the real world. If Yi Chen was not in the real world but not in the real world, it would be fine. As long as Yi Chen left the city, the demons could lure Yi Chen to chase after him. This way, Yi Chen's vigilance would not be lowered. Once Yi Chen's vigilance was not high, the little black dog demon would take the opportunity to attack Yi Chen and try to kill Yi Chen in one blow. It did not want to be stabbed by Yi Chen's soul-devouring godslayer. Otherwise, it would be in serious trouble. If the worst-case scenario happened, such as Yi Chen appearing in the real world with the Samsara Legion, the little black dog demon would leave without hesitation. It did not want to fight the White Tiger Battle Formation head-on. Others knew the terrifying power of the White Tiger Battle Formation. As a native of the Eldritch world, how could the little black dog demon not know? Not only did it know, but it also knew that the power of the White Tiger Battle Formation would increase as the strength of the Legion increased and the number of people increased. In the end, it would become ridiculously powerful. Even when the White Tiger Battle Formation was at its weakest, it could still fight a little demon head-on. Therefore, the Black Dog Demoness came up with a series of plans to get rid of Yi Chen without worrying about the consequences. Who would have thought that the plan would be discovered by the most powerful man of the human race, Yi Chen, as soon as it was put into action? This was something that the little black dog demon did not expect. No matter how it thought about it, it could not figure out how Yi Chen found out. Therefore, the little black dog demon directly asked Yi Chen. It did not want to have this doubt in its mind after killing Yi Chen. As for killing Yi Chen, the little black dog demon was very confident at this moment. It was true that Yi Chen was the most powerful man of the human race. It was also true that Yi Chen could use the White Tiger Battle Formation. However, Yi Chen was only at the mortal evolution state at this moment, and he did not bring any subordinates with him. In terms of power, Yi Chen was no match for it. The only thing that could threaten it was the White Tiger Battle Formation, but it could not use it now because Yi Chen was the only one here. The White Tiger Battle Formation was indeed a Khanate battle formation, but it was an army battle formation. It was impossible for one person to use the White Tiger Battle Formation. As for the Godslayer that could threaten it, the little black dog demon did not care as long as it did not get hit by the Godslayer. The little black dog demon was still confident about this. Its cultivation state was higher than Yi Chen's, and its speed was 100% faster than Yi Chen's. As long as it was careful, there would be no problem. It was also because of these considerations that the little black dog demon walked toward Yi Chen fearlessly, ready to kill Yi Chen. When Yi Chen heard this, he glanced at the little black dog demon and shouted, "Stop talking nonsense, let's fight!" Chapter 431. You're asking for death. Hearing this, the black dog demon's eyes, which were as big as water tanks, widened as it roared furiously. In the next second, the black dog demon raised its leg and stomped down on Yi Chen. Yi Chen sneered when he saw this. He clenched his right fist and punched the black dog demon's thick paw without hesitation. The black dog demon, who was initially wary of Yi Chen summoning the Godslayer, revealed a sinister and sarcastic smile when it saw this. It was just a Tao Wu, yet it dared to challenge a tree. It was simply overestimating itself. This was the black dog demon's evaluation of Yi Chen. In the black dog demon's opinion, Yi Chen was asking for death. He had not even reached the nirvana state, yet he dared to fight it. Wasn't he asking for death? It was a demon, an extremely pure demon. Although it was only a small demon, it was still much stronger than Yi Chen, who was only in the mortal evolution state. Most importantly, Yi Chen clearly had the Godslayer, yet he gave it up and fought it with his physical body. The black dog demon was even less afraid. Yi Chen was a human. Although the black dog demon had just come into contact with humans, it had also discovered the fact that humans had weak physical bodies. Yi Chen's performance was undoubtedly because he thought that his physical body was strong. However, in the Black Dog Demon's opinion, even if Yi Chen's physical body was strong, how strong could it be? The Black Dog Demon did not think that Yi Chen's physical body was that strong. Even if it was stronger than other humans, it was impossible for it to be stronger. It was because of this that the Black Dog Demon revealed a sinister and sarcastic expression. At this moment, the Black Dog Demon's paw collided with Yi Chen's fist. A loud, muffled sound suddenly rang out. Bang! The expression on its sinister and sarcastic face froze instantly. How is this possible? The Black Dog Demon's eyes widened as it shouted in shock. Its paw was already on the ground, and Yi Chen, who was under its paw, had already been pressed to the ground. However, this was not important. What was important was that the Black Dog Demon felt an extremely powerful force at this moment. This force was completely beyond its imagination. More importantly, the result of Yi Chen being crushed to a pulp did not happen at all. Not only did it not happen, but it also felt an even more powerful force suddenly appear from the ground. Bang! A loud sound was heard. The Black Dog Demon's paw that was about to step on Yi Chen was lifted up. To be precise, it was sent flying by the powerful force. At this moment, Yi Chen, who was pressed to the ground by the Black Dog Demon, jumped up and landed heavily. In the next second, Yi Chen's eyes widened as he looked at the Black Dog Lesser Demon, who had a look of disbelief on its face. He shouted, "Silly dog, the appetizer is over. Accept my baptism." After Yi Chen finished speaking, the connate true origin in his body began to circulate. His long hair and clothes fluttered even though there was no wind. At the same time, an even more powerful and domineering aura erupted from Yi Chen's body. The aura was wild, and domineering. Then, it turned into a battle intent that rose again and again. Previously, Yi Chen deliberately went head-to-head with the Black Dog Demon. Of course, it was not because Yi Chen wanted to be tortured, but because Yi Chen had the confidence. Yi Chen was sealed in the game world, but the 9 Revolutions mysterious art could not be sealed. Even if he could not use the connate true origin in his body, he could still absorb and refine the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. It was also because the 9 Revolutions mysterious art was too powerful that Yi Chen's physical body had not stopped improving. As for how strong it was, Yi Chen could not tell. However, this did not affect Yi Chen's judgment. Yi Chen's physical body could completely take on the Black Dog Demon's level. It was also because of this judgment that Yi Chen took on the Black Dog's paw head-on. Of course, this was under the premise that the Black Dog did not use its beast power. If the Black Dog used its beast power, its physical body would definitely be strengthened greatly. Of course, Yi Chen would not take it head-on. As for using the 9 Revolutions mysterious art, it was because Yi Chen wanted to force the Black Dog to use its beast power so that it could fight with Yi Chen. The reason Yi Chen did not kill the Black Dog directly was to improve the 9 Revolutions mysterious art. To be precise, it was to improve his power rapidly. To do this, there was only one word: fight. The Black Dog Demon's eyes widened when it saw this. Then, it shouted in shock, "How is this possible? You're only in the mortal evolution state." The Black Dog Demon did not expect Yi Chen to have power that was on par with it. It also did not expect Yi Chen's physical body to be stronger than it. However, the truth was that it was wrong. Yi Chen's power was on par with it, and his physical body was also insanely strong. To be precise, it was inhuman. The Black Dog Demon was summoned from the Eldritch world and had eaten many humans. It was because of this that it believed that humans were trash. However, Yi Chen, the number 1 human, gave it a resounding slap. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that Yi Chen's chi was stronger, and his body was boiling with battle intent. This undoubtedly told the Black Dog Demon one thing. Yi Chen did not use his full strength just now. After thinking about this fact, the Black Dog Demon could not remain calm. Just as the Black Dog Lesser Demon was in a state of shock and disbelief, Yi Chen stomped his foot on the ground. Bang! A loud sound was instantly heard. In the next second, Yi Chen leaped up and rushed toward the shocked black dog lesser demon. He arrived in the blink of an eye. Bang! After a loud bang, Yi Chen's right leg kicked the black dog demon's leg. The black dog demon's leg was kicked up by Yi Chen, and the black dog demon could not help but stagger. The black dog demon, who had not regained its balance, raised its mouth. At the same time, another loud bang was heard. Bang! It was heavy and powerful. What followed was the ear-piercing sound of teeth colliding. After Yi Chen landed on the ground, he leaped up again and kicked the black dog lesser demon's chin. Damned human! The black dog demon was instantly enraged after being kicked twice by Yi Chen in the first exchange. It was a demon from the lower realm. How could it not be angry when it was taught a lesson by a weakling of a lower realm? In the next second, the black dog demon's demon power was channeled wildly, and it bit at Yi Chen, who was charging at it again. At this moment, Yi Chen jumped up for the third time. He was in midair and had no leverage. If it were anyone else, they would be scared out of their wits. However, Yi Chen did not panic at all. Not only did Yi Chen not panic, he did not even use the army formula of the 9 esoteric words. If he used it, Yi Chen could fly away with the army immediately. In the next second, a loud bang was heard. The black dog demon's mouth bit Yi Chen, who did not dodge. After realizing that it had bitten Yi Chen, the black dog demon's eyes lit up with joy. However, in the next second, the black dog demon was stunned. It had bitten Yi Chen, but it could not bite down. This was because Yi Chen had grabbed 2 of the black dog demon's top canine teeth, and Yi Chen's feet were stepping on the black dog demon's lower jaw, near its canine teeth. No matter how hard the black dog tried, it could not bite down. At this moment, the black dog demon's face suddenly contorted as it shook its head frantically. This was because Yi Chen, who was standing in the black dog demon's mouth, suddenly raised his right foot. The black dog demon was not stupid. How could it not know what Yi Chen was going to do? He was going to kick its canine teeth out. It was also because it thought of Yi Chen's plan that the black dog demon's face suddenly twisted. However, it was too late. Yi Chen raised his right foot and kicked out without hesitation. Bang! A muffled sound rang out instantly. Crack! A loud sound was heard. In the next second, a canine tooth that was half the length of an adult flew out of the black dog demon's mouth, along with dog blood. Ow! A shrill howl came out of the black dog demon's mouth. The excruciating pain stimulated the little black dog demon's nerve. Its eyes were bloodshot at this moment. It did not want Yi Chen to stay in its mouth any longer. If this went on, it would not have a good time, so it shook its head even more frantically. It wanted to throw Yi Chen out. However, it was useless. Yi Chen, who was holding onto its canine teeth, did not move at all. No matter how the black dog demon shook its head, it could not throw Yi Chen out. After realizing that this trick was useless, the black dog suddenly thought of something, and its canine tongue started moving. It wanted to use its canine tongue to wrap Yi Chen into its stomach and swallow Yi Chen. Seeing this, Yi Chen smiled coldly. With a thought, a ball of scorching flame appeared outside of Yi Chen's body, and then protected Yi Chen inside. Chapter 432. The black dog's tongue instantly came into contact with Yi Chen. To be precise, it came into contact with the flame shield outside Yi Chen's body. Sizzle, sizzle. Several sounds could be heard. In the next second, an even more shrill howl could be heard from the black dog's mouth. It hurt so much that it was unbearable. The black dog shook its head frantically while howling. Its 2 eyes that were as big as water tanks turned red. However, it was useless. The pain was still there, and the burning continued. Yi Chen was still there. Yi Chen glanced at the dog's mouth, which was being burned by the flames, and sneered. His right foot moved back again, and then he kicked hard. Bang, crack. A sharp dog tooth flew out of the black dog's mouth again. Roar! The shrill howl could be heard again. However, this was not the end. Yi Chen kicked out with his right leg again. Again and again. Until the 10th time, the black dog that kept howling in pain and rolling on the ground suddenly emitted countless demonic chi. Yi Chen raised his brows when he saw this. It was finally willing to transform. The corners of Yi Chen's mouth curled up as he thought of this. Then, he leaped out of the black dog's mouth. Bang! A loud sound was heard. Yi Chen landed on the ground. At this moment there were waves of exclamations. How is this possible? Yi Chen, isn't Yi Chen in the mortal evolution state? How can he torture Sir Black Dog so badly? How the hell would I know? This Yi Chen is too sick. What is his power? Damn it, does it matter what power he has? If this bastard lives on, our demon race will be finished. Sir Black Dog, kill him. Kill Yi Chen. You're the pillar of our demon race. Yes, Sir Black Dog, quickly kill Yi Chen. We can't let him live. Otherwise, there won't be any demon race in this world. The demonic beasts were talking and shouting one after another. They were worried and scared because Yi Chen's strength was too abnormal. Even the mighty figures of the demon clan that they had summoned from the primeval world were so miserable. One could only imagine how terrifying Yi Chen's strength was. They did not want to be killed by Yi Chen one by one in the future, nor did they want to die now. Therefore, they kept cheering the black dog on, hoping that the black dog would kill Yi Chen. Otherwise, they would definitely suffer in the future. In fact, they might even suffer in the near future. Of course, when the black dog was being tortured, they had thought of running away. However, they could not and did not dare to run. Because the black dog was here. If they escaped and the black dog managed to survive, they would not be able to survive no matter what. Therefore, they kept cheering Black Dog on, hoping that Black Dog would kill Yi Chen. Only in this way would they be safe and not have to worry about Yi Chen hunting them down. The demonic beast army's clamor and cheers did not receive any response from the black dog. If there was a response, it would be the black dog's shrinking body and the demonic aura that was getting thicker and thicker. Yi Chen looked at the black dog that was constantly changing and the smile on his face grew wider. Because the black dog was about to transform into a human to fight Yi Chen. Such a black dog's strength would not change, but its agility and physical strength would be greatly enhanced. In fact, when a demonic beast transformed into a human, without the beast's skin, its physical defense would not be reduced at all. Instead, it would be greatly enhanced. Just think about it. A demonic beast was as big as a small mountain, but after transforming, it looked no different from a normal human. With so many bones and flesh condensed into a small part, how dense would it be? With the help of demonic energy, the demonic beast's physical body after transformation would be at least twice as strong as before. This was also the reason why Yi Chen kept on torturing Black Dog and provoking it. Of course, if Yi Chen's purpose was known by others, they would definitely think that Yi Chen was a masochist. In fact, this was not masochism at all. To put it simply, the 9 Revolutions mystic art was a top-notch combat technique. The more one fought, the faster one would improve. Especially when fighting someone of a higher level. To others, fighting someone of a higher level was no different from being tortured. As for Yi Chen, the reason why he fought against those of a higher level was so that he could make a breakthrough and improve himself during the battle. Because Yi Chen was cultivating a chaotic technique, the 9 Revolutions mystic art. The characteristic of the 9 Revolutions mystic art was to improve one's strength in battle. That was why Yi Chen chose to do this. It was faster and faster than cultivating alone. After all, Yi Chen's strength was first in both the 3 kingdoms and the real world. In these 2 worlds, there was no human or demon that Yi Chen could fight to his heart's content. To put it simply, even if Yi Chen wanted to fight to his heart's content, he could not find an opponent. Now that Black Dog Demon had been summoned from the Eldritch world to the real world, how could Yi Chen miss this opportunity? That was why Yi Chen did not use his spiritual treasure to kill Black Dog at the beginning. Instead, he chose to fight Black Dog. For Yi Chen, the greater his strength improved, the higher his starting point after ascending to the Eldritch world, the more he could do. Therefore, Yi Chen would not let go of any opportunity to improve his strength. Fighting Black Dog could improve his strength. Killing Black Dog would also give him a lot of experience. Yi Chen wanted both. While Yi Chen was watching Black Dog transform, the flaming tiger Yi Lin, who was not far away, struggled for a while. She looked at the little black cat who was sitting on the ground and said, "I've done something wrong. At first, I felt a little guilty. I even begged Big Brother to spare your life." When Flaming Tiger Yi Lin said this, her eyes, which were already filled with murderous intent, suddenly widened. She then shouted, "But you shouldn't have come here to be bait. You shouldn't have attacked Big Brother. So, die." When Flaming Tiger Yi Lin said this, she raised her tiger paw and slapped it down viciously. No. The big tabby cat saw this and was shocked. Then, it screamed shrilly. In the next second, it leaped up with all its might and came to Little Black Cat's side. It swung its tail viciously and sent the motionless Little Black Cat flying. "Little sister, live on. Don't come to this city again. Don't come looking for her again." Just as Flaming Tiger's huge tiger paw landed on the big tabby cat's shriek, a loud bam sounded and the big tabby cat's shriek stopped abruptly. Its body had been smashed into pieces by Flaming Tiger Yi Lin's tiger paw. It was dead. "Big sister." Little Black Cat, who was flying away at high speed in midair, saw this and let out a pitiful wail. When Flaming Tiger Yi Lin saw this, she snorted coldly and charged towards Little Black Cat. Little Black Cat saw Flaming Tiger Yi Lin charging towards it mercilessly, and its eyes filled with despair. That despair was not from the fear of death, but from emotions. It was obvious that Little Black Cat had some inexplicable feelings for Flaming Tiger Yi Lin, or it would not have acted in such a manner. "Why do you want to kill my big sister?" After Little Black Cat landed on the ground, its cat eyes stared fixedly at Flaming Tiger Yi Lin as it screamed shrilly. Bam! Flaming Tiger Yi Lin landed on the ground and came before Little Black Cat in a few steps. Looking at Little Black Cat, Flaming Tiger Yi Lin said coldly, "No matter who it is, as long as they dare to set their sights on Big Brother, they are Big Brother's enemy, and my enemy as well. Towards my enemies, I will only make one choice, and that is to kill them." Why? He's a human, and you're an immortal beast. You're not even of the same race. For your sake, I even begged Lord Black Dog, and he agreed to it. He would only take you down and not kill you. If he were to kill anyone, he would kill Yi Chen. As long as he kills Yi Chen, your contract with him will be terminated. By then, you'll be free. The moment the Little Black Cat heard this, it opened its mouth wide and shrieked out. Chapter 433. You're thinking too much. I've never lacked for freedom. Besides, I can tell you one thing. Without my big brother, I wouldn't be who I am now. So, die. Flaming Tiger Yi Lin paused and slammed her paw down without hesitation. When the Little Black Cat saw this, its cat eyes were filled with despair. It had never thought that the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin would think this way. It had never thought that the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin would be so heartless. Ever since the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin had messed around with it, its heart had been completely taken over by the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin. In order to be together with the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin, it had thought of many ways. However, without exception, none of its ideas had worked. It was only when the Little Black Dog Demon had been summoned from the Chaos Realm by the altar and had found her that she realized that it was not impossible for her to be together with the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin. As long as she could get rid of Yi Chen, everything would be resolved. Hence, it had unhesitatingly participated in the plan to lure the Flaming Tiger Yi Lin out of the city. However, the plan had only just begun when a problem arose. The most powerful man of the human race, Yi Chen, had not only seen through their plan. More terrifyingly, Yi Chen's power had completely exceeded the little black cat's expectations. From the little black cat's point of view, no matter how powerful Yi Chen was, he could not possibly be more powerful than the little black dog demon. However, the reality was that the little black dog demon, as powerful as it was, had been badly beaten up by Yi Chen. When it thought of this, the little black cat's eyes lost all life. No matter how it looked at it, it was waiting for death. However, just as the flaming tiger Yilin's paw was about to land, a thick black demonic aura suddenly appeared and enveloped the little black cat. A loud bam was heard. The flaming tiger Yilin's paw slammed into the black demonic aura and stopped. At that moment, a deafening roar suddenly sounded. Roar! Black Dog Little Demon, who had completed his transformation, stood up like a human. He then looked at Little Black Cat and shouted, "Leave this place and cultivate well. Once you're strong enough, you can come back to them for your reward." The little black cat, who had resigned itself to its fate and was waiting for death, upon hearing those words, its dim cat eyes suddenly regained some light, and then it shone brightly. In the next second, the little black cat stood up and stared at the flaming tiger Yilin, who was still brimming with murderous intent. "Don't you feel guilty for treating me like this? Guilt? If you hadn't schemed against Big Brother, perhaps I would have felt guilty. But now I won't." The flaming tiger Yilin's tiger eyes widened when she heard this. "Good. Just you wait, sooner or later I will come back to repay you. Right before your very eyes, I will slice your master piece by piece and feed him to you." When the little black cat heard that, all its fur stood on end as it howled in a shrill voice. "You're asking for it." The flaming tiger Yilin was enraged when she heard this, and then she shouted in a tyrannical manner. After Yenhu finished speaking, he slammed his paw down again without hesitation. Bam! A loud sound rang out. The flaming tiger Yilin's paw was still blocked by the thick demonic aura. It was unable to hurt Little Black Cat, who was protected by the demonic aura shield. When Little Black Cat saw this, the hatred in her eyes grew even more intense. She then shouted fiercely, "Yenhu, you forced me to do this! I will kill your master, I will destroy this Samsara city, I swear! I will make you suffer for all eternity, and blame yourself for all eternity. I will make you regret everything you've done to me today." Not far away, Yi Chen, who had been quietly watching the transformed black dog Little Demon, heard Little Black Cat's vow. His eyes widened and he shouted, "Evil creature, if you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Originally, Yi Chen had wanted to hand Little Black Cat over to the flaming tiger Yilin to deal with. But Yi Chen did not expect Little Black Cat to be so arrogant that it even dared to make an oath. Once an oath was made, it would not rest until one of them was dead. This had become one of the rules of this world after the fall of the meteor. To put it simply, an oath could not be made casually. Otherwise, it would definitely come true. Therefore, everyone who made an oath, whether human or demon, would have to follow the oath. It was also because of this that Yi Chen was sure that Little Black Cat was really going to deal with Samsara City and Yi Chen. It was not just saying it to scare the flaming tiger Yilin. It could be said that Little Black Cat was no longer the Little Black Cat that had an ambiguous relationship with the flaming tiger Yilin. It was Yi Chen's enemy. When it came to enemies, Yi Chen would never let them live. If he met them, he would kill them. Yi Chen did not want to cause any trouble for himself. Yi Chen was not afraid of Little Black Cat's revenge. But in the real world, Samsara City would be guarded by Samsara City's soldiers, and Yi Chen's women would come over from time to time. Therefore, Yi Chen could not let Little Black Cat leave to cultivate, become stronger, and then come back for revenge. After Yi Chen finished speaking, he used his mind and the thick black god slayer appeared in front of Yi Chen. At the same time, Yi Chun pointed his sword and used the army formula of the 9 esoteric words. In the next second, an ancient golden army character appeared on the ground. The army character was surrounded by golden light, forming a huge golden disc. Tiny golden runes were swimming in it, and Yi Chun was standing in it. At the same time, the sound of Tao rang out. Yi Chun, you want to kill it? You'll have to ask for my permission first. Little black dog demon, who had transformed into a human, narrowed its eyes and shouted. Little black dog did not expect Yi Chun to have such an ability. Although it did not know what kind of ability Yi Chun was using, just by looking at the power released by Yi Chun and the Godslayer floating beside Yi Chun, it was enough to make a judgment. Once Yi Chun started to attack, it would definitely be earth-shattering. Moreover, he could easily break through Little Black Cat's demon aura shield. Little Black Dog did not want to see Yi Chun kill Little Black Cat. As for the reason, it was simple. It wasn't sure if it could kill Yi Chun, but at the same time, it wasn't sure if it could survive. Originally, it was 100% sure that it could kill Little Black Cat. But after being taught a lesson by Yi Chun, it was not so sure anymore. And just now, Yi Chun had allowed it to transform and did not attack. This made it feel that something was not right. So, it was prepared to have a backup plan, and Little Black Cat was the backup plan it had chosen. If it was really unlucky enough to be killed by Yi Chun, then Little Black Cat would be its backup plan for revenge. After all, Little Black Cat's hatred for Yi Chun far exceeded that of any other demon here. As long as Little Black Cat successfully escaped, it would definitely come looking for trouble with Yi Chun if it had the chance in the future. Little Black Dog Demon was very sure of this, and now that Yi Chun wanted to kill Little Black Cat, how could Little Black Dog Demon be willing? The moment Yi Chun heard this, he laughed out coldly before pointing his sword finger at the Little Black Cat. In the next second, the Godslayer trembled and shot towards Little Black Cat with a golden light. Chapter 434. Little Black Cat, who was staring at flaming Tiger Yi Lin, suddenly froze and turned to look in the direction where the Godslayer came from. When it saw the pitch-black and thick god-slaying spear with tiny golden runes all over its body, its 2 cat's eyes suddenly shrank. Danger, extreme danger. Death was coming. It must not be touched by the Godslayer. That was what Little Black Cat was feeling at that moment. The Little Black Cat naturally knew that Yi Chun's god-slaying spear could devour souls. After all, in the game world, the players of the human race had already spread the news of the god-slaying spear countless times. So Little Black Cat was afraid of the Godslayer. But now, the god-slaying spear was flying at high speed, and its target was him. How could he remain calm? Even though Little Black Dog Demon had given it some of its demon aura to increase its defense, it still did not feel safe. That sense of impending danger, the feeling of impending death continued to grow, and grow, and grow, and grow, and grow, deeply stimulating the Little Black Cat's soul. It had a feeling that, if it did not dodge, it would definitely die. So it prepared to dodge. But in the next second, Little Black Cat was horrified to find that it had been locked down by the Godslayer and could not move at all. "Help me!" Little Black Cat did not hesitate and screamed at Little Black Dog Demon, who had transformed into a human. It did not want to die. It wanted to live. It wanted to take revenge on Flaming Tiger Yi Lin, take revenge on Yi Chun, take revenge on Samsara City. It wanted to destroy everything related to Flaming Tiger Yi Lin. But there was a prerequisite. It had to live. If it died, everything would be gone. It could not do anything it wanted. Just as Little Black Cat was crying for help, Little Black Dog Demon, who had transformed into a human, waved its right hand. There was a buzz sound. A dog's tooth that was emitting black light appeared in front of Little Black Cat. Little Black Cat saw this and heaved a sigh of relief. It recognized this dog's tooth. It came from the heavenly beast Howling Celestial Dog. Its sister had one. The only pity was that his sister, the tabby cat, didn't use the dog teeth as a weapon before she died in order to save him. With that thought in mind, the little black cat's eyes were filled with hatred. It hated Yin Hu for being heartless, hated Yin Hu for being cold-blooded. Of course, it hated Yi Chen even more. If it wasn't for Yi Chen, its sister wouldn't have died. If it wasn't for Yi Chen, it would have definitely been together with Yin Hu. If it wasn't for Yi Chen, it would have had a beautiful future. It would have been loved by its sister and protected by Yin Hu, whom it liked. Yi Chen glanced at the black dog demon and curled his lips in disdain. The dog tooth came from the howling celestial dog. Moreover, it had been roughly refined to reach the immortal tier. However, the God-Slayer was not something that an immortal tier or divine tier could compare to. That was a connate cardinal treasure. Even though it was still damaged, it was still much more powerful than any immortal weapon. Therefore, Yi Chen didn't think much of the black dog's attack at all. Not far away, the black dog, who had transformed into a human and was facing Yi Chen, saw Yi Chen's disdainful look, and its face instantly darkened. Yi Chen's expression clearly told it one thing. Its strongest weapon, the howling celestial dog's dog tooth, couldn't stop Yi Chen's Godslayer at all. With that thought in mind, the black dog asked in a low voice, "Is your spear a divine weapon?" Just as the black dog opened its mouth, the Godslayer descended and pierced the howling celestial dog's dog tooth. After a loud clang, the howling celestial dog's dog tooth shattered and turned into powder, scattering with the wind. The Godslayer didn't slow down at all and shot towards the little black cat again. The little black cat, who had just heaved a sigh of relief, saw this and its cat eyes widened. It then screamed, "Master Black Dog, save me! Save me! Save!" Was heard. The little black cat's screams came to an abrupt end. The Godslayer effortlessly pierced through the shield formed by demonic chi and pierced through the little black cat's head, pinning it to the ground. At the same time, the Godslayer's tip flashed with a dark light and the little black cat's soul was instantly devoured by the Godslayer. After the black dog demon saw the Godslayer unleash its invincible power, its entire dog was stunned. It then screamed, "An acquired spiritual artifact! Your spear is an acquired spiritual artifact. How is that possible?" It guessed that Yi Chen's Godslayer was very powerful and was probably a divine weapon. Otherwise, Yi Chen wouldn't have shown such a disdainful look. However, it guessed the beginning correctly but not the end. Yi Chen's Godslayer was not only powerful, it was insanely powerful. It was far more powerful than a divine weapon and was not something an acquired spiritual artifact could compare to. Of course, an acquired spiritual artifact could easily shatter the teeth of the divine beast howling celestial hound. Otherwise, the black dog wouldn't have thought that Yi Chen's Godslayer was an acquired spiritual artifact. Of course, even if the Godslayer was an acquired spiritual artifact, it was still enough to shock the black dog. As for the reason, it was simple. The black dog came from the Eldritch Age and knew all too well what an acquired spiritual artifact was. The power of that thing was simply terrifying. Although it was now in human form and its body was at least twice as strong, once it was poked by the Godslayer, an acquired spiritual artifact, a hole would definitely appear. To put it simply, the black dog couldn't withstand the attack of an acquired spiritual artifact. If the black dog knew the true grade of the Godslayer, and that it was a genuine innate spiritual artifact, it would probably turn tail and run without even asking. However, even if it didn't know, it was already showing signs of fear because it had no way of dealing with an acquired spiritual artifact. Yi Chen glanced at the black dog who was already showing signs of fear and smiled coldly. He then said, "Don't worry, I don't need it to deal with you." The black dog was stunned when it heard this. It then looked at Yi Chen in disbelief. To it, the Godslayer was an acquired spiritual artifact. It would be no problem to deal with it. If Yi Chen fought the black dog with the Godslayer, the black dog would definitely be restrained and could only keep dodging. This was because the God-slayer could easily tear its body apart. There was no doubt about that. It was also because of this that the black dog demon had already planned to retreat. However, now that Yi Chen said that he didn't need the God-slayer, the black dog was naturally stunned and then looked at him in disbelief. If he didn't use his advantage, he would be lying to a fool. This was the black dog demon's thought. Yi Chen glanced at the black dog who still didn't believe him. With a thought, the God-slayer that had killed the little black cat trembled and returned to Yi Chen's side. With a flash of black light, it disappeared. The black dog demon who had transformed into a human saw this and narrowed its dog eyes. It then looked at Yi Chen and asked, "You really don't need that spear?" "No need," Yi Chen said calmly. "What is your true form? Why are you helping the human race?" The black dog demon was silent for a moment. It then looked at Yi Chen and asked. Obviously, the black dog demon thought that Yi Chen was also a beast. Otherwise, it wouldn't have asked this question. As for the black dog's reason for asking this question, it was actually very simple. Acquired spiritual artifacts were not cabbages. Even in the eldritch world, there were only a few of them. It was impossible for them to appear in this ordinary world. However, the God-slayer had appeared. Therefore, the black dog demon thought that Yi Chen was like it, a native of the eldritch world, who had been summoned to the lower realm. Chapter 435. Yi Chen raised his eyebrows when he heard the black dog's question. The black dog came from the eldritch world. However, it did not know that the eldritch world was also a game world. It was just a game world after ascension. To the players, everything was possible as long as they were lucky enough, whether it was the newbie zone or the eldritch world after ascension. For example, Yi Chen's Godslayer was obtained from killing a level 100 megaboss when he was level 1. The treasure fall coin was also obtained from a lucky draw. If Yi Chen continued with the lucky draw, it was not impossible for him to obtain the Jade Disc of Creation and steal Hongjuan's opportunity of fortune. Of course, unless one was extremely lucky, it was unlikely for such a thing to happen. After all, Hongjun was a being that was going to converge the Tao in the future. Unless Yi Chen could go against the heavenly axiom of the eldritch world, a being like Hongjun would not be able to obtain a key item from the lucky draw. Of course, this was not important. The important thing was that the black dog saw Yi Chen as a native of the eldritch world. This was undoubtedly good news for Yi Chen. This was because the black dog was kept in the dark and was killed by Yi Chen. It was completely different from being killed by Yi Chen. If the black dog thought that Yi Chen was a native of the eldritch world, then after Yi Chen killed the black dog, the being behind it, or more accurately, the divine beast howling celestial hound, would only think that the one who killed the black dog was a being from the eldritch world. It would not link it to Yi Chen, a player. This way, Yi Chen would have less trouble after he ascended. If the black dog knew that Yi Chen was a player, then after Yi Chen killed the black dog, the howling celestial hound would definitely sense it. Although it could not determine which player did it, it would definitely target the player. When that time comes, the howling celestial hound would definitely sense Yi Chen's ascension. After that, the howling celestial hound would definitely come looking for trouble with Yi Chen. Of course, Yi Chen was not afraid of the howling celestial dog seeking revenge. This was because Yi Chen had connate cardinal treasures, connate numinous treasures, and the Samsara Legion. Even if Yi Chen's strength hadn't improved much before his ascension, he could still use the White Tiger Battle Formation or the Vermilion Bird Battle Formation to fight the howling celestial hound. However, this matter was somewhat troublesome. Although the celestial hound's strength was not ranked high in Untainted Land, it was much stronger than Yi Chen's. Of course, this was secondary. The main thing was that the howling celestial dog was extremely fast. Even if Yi Chen used the innate battle formation, he wouldn't be able to catch up to the howling celestial dog, who was trying to escape after realizing that something was amiss. Once such a situation occurred, Yi Chen's forces would definitely be targeted by the howling celestial dog, and then there would be endless trouble. Of course, this trouble was only a possibility. After all, Yi Chen hadn't ascended yet, and was still frantically preparing for his ascension. For example, Yi Chen wanted to gather the 5 elements spiritual pearls and then refine them to form the 5 elements divine body. In this way, Yi Chen would have a super strong starting point, and his future would be limitless. For example, Yi Chen was still accumulating experience. If he had enough experience, his realm would also improve rapidly after his ascension. For example, Yi Chen was cultivating a large number of spiritual herbs. Or, in the future, he would go out to sea to search for the 3 Immortal Island. Once he found it, Yi Chen would have enough help to improve his strength rapidly. Another example was that Yi Chen participated in the Golden Turban Rebellion in the 3 Kingdoms Newcomers area. He went on a killing spree for the Enlightenment Stone. Not only could it help Yi Chen refine the 5 elements spiritual pearls, but it could also help Yi Chen become stronger. Therefore, Yi Chen's strength would continue to improve before he ascended to the Eldritch World, and he didn't have to worry about the howling celestial dog. However, Yi Chen preferred to see it avoid the howling celestial dog's revenge. As for the fact that the howling celestial dog was the black dog's backer, Yi Chen had already confirmed it when he saw the howling celestial dog's teeth. The howling celestial dog was a divine beast, and it was very powerful. How could its teeth fall out so easily? However, the truth was that it had really fallen out. There was only one reason for this, and that was that the black dog was the descendant of the howling celestial dog. The howling celestial dog had deliberately shed its teeth for the black dog to protect itself. In other words, the black dog had used its teeth as proof of identity, so that it wouldn't be bullied by other demons. Of course, the black dog either hadn't awakened the divine beast bloodline of the howling celestial dog, or its bloodline was too thin or almost non-existent. Otherwise, its strength wouldn't be so weak. However, this didn't affect its relationship with the howling celestial dog. Not bad, not bad. This silly dog had saved him a lot of trouble. Thinking of this, Yi Chen couldn't help but smirk. He then looked at the black dog demon and shouted, "Cut the crap, let's fight!" After Yi Chen finished speaking, he stomped his right foot on the ground, and a loud bang was instantly heard. In the next second, Yi Chen charged straight at the black dog who had transformed into a human. When the black dog saw Yi Chen charging at it with his bare hands, it suddenly thought of something. Its eyes widened and it shouted in shock, "You're from the witch tribe." The black dog couldn't help but think this, because Yi Chen's existence was too abnormal. He wasn't even a human. How could a human have such an abnormal physical body? How could a human have such abnormal strength? How could a human be so battle-hungry? The more the black dog thought about it, the more it thought so. Because if Yi Chen was from the witch tribe, everything would make sense. When Yi Chen heard the black dog's exclamation, a smile instantly appeared on his face. The more ridiculous the black dog's thoughts were, the better. When he killed the black dog, the howling celestial hound would definitely think that it was done by the witch tribe. The only result would be to admit defeat. If the howling celestial hound really went to find trouble with the witch tribe, it would die a horrible death. One must know that the witch tribe were all battle-hungry people. If they didn't fight a few times a day, they would feel uncomfortable all over. Moreover, they were very tasty, eating either dragons or phoenixes. If the howling celestial hound really blamed the black dog's death on the witch tribe and went to seek revenge, it would definitely be caught. After a good beating, it would be stewed into a dog meat hot pot. If that was the case, Yi Chen would have an easier time. When he thought of this, Yi Chen suddenly smiled. He then came in front of the black dog and threw his right fist at it without hesitation. When the black dog saw this, its face became extremely ferocious. It then threw a punch at Yi Chen's fist. It wasn't afraid of physical strength at all. It wanted to teach Yi Chen a lesson. Bang! A loud sound was heard. In the next second, the black dog flew backward. Yi Chen was no exception and flew backward as well. In midair, Yi Chen felt his body suddenly become active and the spiritual qi of heaven and earth that was being absorbed by his body at an accelerated rate. His eyes opened wide. Awesome! It was the 9 revolutions mysterious art that started to circulate faster. Yi Chen's body started to strengthen at an accelerated rate, and the Kane true origin in his body also increased rapidly. Bang bang. 2 sounds were heard one after another. The black dog and Yi Chen landed one after the other. Yi Chen looked at the black dog, whose face was filled with ferocity, and the corner of his mouth curled up. He then shouted, "Continue!" After Yi Chen finished speaking, he rushed toward the black dog demon again. "Bastard of the witch tribe, if you dare to use that spear, you will be the scum of the witch tribe. When that time comes, the entire witch tribe will be ashamed of you." The black dog demon heard this and shouted without hesitation. Chapter 436. Yi Chen curled his lips in disdain when he heard the black dog lesser demon's fearful words. The black dog lesser demon was obviously worried that Yi Chen would use the Godslayer, which was why it yelled. The Godslayer could hurt it effortlessly. If it was pierced in a vital spot, the black dog lesser demon would definitely die. Therefore, it was worried that Yi Chen would really use the Godslayer. However, Yi Chen would not use the Godslayer so casually in order to increase his strength. If he wanted to use it, Yi Chen would have used it from the start. Yi Chen did not respond to the black dog lesser demon. If he had to respond, it would be Yi Chen's fist. The black dog lesser demon's eyes flashed fiercely when it saw this. It then swung its fist at Yi Chen's fist without hesitation. The black dog lesser demon had already felt the strength of Yi Chen's body. To be precise, Yi Chen's body was no match for it. Now that it saw that Yi Chen did not use the Godslayer, how could the black dog lesser demon be afraid? It wanted to teach Yi Chen a lesson. If possible, it wanted to kill Yi Chen and steal Yi Chen's Godslayer. Bam! A loud noise was heard. In the next second, Yi Chen and the black dog lesser demon flew backward at the same time. Just like before, the distance Yi Chen flew backward was still greater than the distance the black dog lesser demon flew backward. The black dog lesser demon's eyes flashed viciously when it saw this. It then yelled, "Die, you piece of shit!" The black dog lesser demon did not wait for Yi Chen to regain his balance before it charged at Yi Chen. Yi Chen smiled coldly when he saw this. "This is a good opportunity. Unfortunately, you don't have the ability to kill me." Thinking of this, Yi Chen's eyes suddenly widened. In midair, his body suddenly leaned forward, and then his right foot stomped hard on the ground. Bang! A loud sound rang out. A huge crater immediately appeared beneath Yi Chen's feet. Yi Chen, who was flying backwards at a high speed, suddenly stopped and looked at the black dog demon that was rushing towards him. In the next second, Yi Chen bent his legs and instantly exerted force. After a loud bang, Yi Chen's entire body instantly turned into a cannonball, ferociously charging towards the black dog demon. Seeing this, the black dog demon squinted its eyes. In midair, it switched from a fist to a leg and kicked viciously at the leaping Yi Chen. Clearly, this black dog demon was not stupid. It knew how to take advantage of the terrain and its body. Yi Chen glanced at the black dog lesser demon's pair of large black feet and laughed coldly. In midair, he flipped his body and kicked the black dog lesser demon with his right foot. Bang bang! 2 loud sounds rang out. The black dog lesser demon kicked Yi Chen's stomach, but Yi Chen's foot kicked the black dog lesser demon's head. Woo woo! 2 sounds of something breaking through the air rang out. The black dog lesser demon immediately leaned back and flew rapidly towards the sky, while Yi Chen fell towards the ground at an even faster speed. However, Yi Chen, who was about to land flat on the ground, flipped his body in midair and stood up. Boom! A dull roar instantly rang out. A huge crater appeared on the ground, and Yi Chen was standing in the middle of it. At this moment, the spiritual qi of heaven and earth flowed towards Yi Chen at an even faster speed. Waves of spiritual qi formed a gentle breeze that blew Yi Chen's long hair. Feeling the innate true origin in his body rapidly increasing, and his body rapidly strengthening, Yi Chen could not help but smile. The 9 Revolutions mysterious art was indeed the 9 Revolutions mysterious art. Awesome! Yi Chen knew that the 9 Revolutions mysterious art was a combat cultivation technique, and he also knew that the 9 Revolutions mysterious art was the fastest way to improve in battle. However, ever since Yi Chen advanced to the innate realm, he had never encountered an opponent who was on par with him. Therefore, Yi Chen had never been able to carefully experience the joy of battle. To be precise, it was the feeling of rapidly improving one's strength in battle. But now, just after a few rounds with the Black Dog Lesser Demon, the 9 Revolutions mysterious art began to work, and the effect was remarkable. The innate true origin in Yi Chen's body rapidly increased, and his body also rapidly became stronger. For Yi Chen, how could he not be happy and excited? After this test, Yi Chen had a clear understanding of the 9 Revolutions mysterious art. To be precise, the 9 Revolutions mysterious art was an extremely abnormal cultivation technique. Cultivating in silence, the speed of absorbing spiritual qi of heaven and earth was much faster than other cultivation techniques. Cultivating with spiritual herbs, the speed of absorbing spiritual herbs was also the fastest. The improvement in battle was the most abnormal. It was like cheating, so abnormal that it had no friends. Other cultivation techniques could not be improved in battle, but the 9 Revolutions mysterious art could. The more he fought, the faster he improved, and the fiercer he fought, the fiercer the improvement. In just a short while, Yi Chen's improvement was more than 10 times better than if he had cultivated with all his strength for 3 days. One could imagine how changeable the 9 Revolutions mysterious art was. Thinking of this, Yi Chen suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. Then he shouted, "Stupid dog, die!" After roaring, Yi Chen squatted and then stomped hard. Bang! An extremely violent roar sounded in an instant. In the next second, Yi Chen directly jumped up and then rushed at the Black Dog Lesser Demon, who had begun to fall from midair. In midair, the Black Dog Lesser Demon saw Yi Chen rushing up again, and its dog eyes suddenly turned red. It was provoked by Yi Chen's behavior of showing off, even though his physical body was weaker. F***ck, do you really think I'm made of mud? Thinking of this, the Black Dog Lesser Demon's demonic power began to circulate wildly. In the next second, the Black Dog Lesser Demon's body began to thicken and expand. Within a breath, it had become twice its size. The clothes that were still intact when it first transformed were also shredded into pieces with the Black Dog Lesser Demon's ferocity. At the same time, a strong demonic aura began to swirl around the Black Dog Lesser Demon. Seeing this, Yi Chen could not help but raise his eyebrows. F***ck. This stupid dog was not small at all. As expected of the descendant of the howling celestial dog. If it was cut off, it would not take long for it to become a hot commodity among the human players. Obviously, Yi Chen did not care about the Black Dog Lesser Demon's ferocity at all. To be precise, Yi Chen hoped that the Black Dog Lesser Demon would become even more ferocious. That way Yi Chen could fight to his heart's content. Of course, Yi Chen did not really want to cut off the thing between the Black Dog Lesser Demon's legs and sell it for money. Yi Chen only remembered some things from his past life, and said it out of emotion. To be precise, Yi Chen did kill some ferocious demonic beasts in his past life, then cut off that thing and sold it to other players. To the players, anything of value could be sold as a commodity, such as aphrodisiac. After the meteor fall, the players' abilities would continue to increase, and they would become stronger and stronger. However, there was one thing that was very difficult to improve, such as some men's unspeakable difficulties, and this gave rise to a group of players who specialized in reselling the demon clan's whip. In his previous life, Yi Chun had done this for a period of time. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the black dog lesser demon had become even more ferocious. Just as Yi Chun thought of this, the black dog lesser demon's ferocious roar rang out, "Die, you piece of trash!" Chapter 437. After the black dog demon finished its roar, it clenched its right fist and punched towards Yi Chun. The sound of an explosion in the air followed. Yi Chun's eyes widened when he saw this. The innate true origin in his body started to circulate faster, and a huge amount of energy appeared in Yi Chun's body. Feeling the explosive increase in strength, Yi Chun laughed out loud. Then, he swung his fist at the black dog demon. In the next second, the black dog lesser demon's fist, which was filled with demonic energy, smashed into Yi Chun's fist. Bam! The sound of an explosion in the air was heard. A wave of air appeared between the two fists and spread out in a circle. Poof! A loud sound followed. It was Yi Chun who had been smashed into the ground by the black dog demon. Bam! The black dog lesser demon landed on the ground and glanced at the hole Yi Chun had created. It smiled viciously and leaped down, kicking down the hole. Yi Chun smiled coldly when he saw this. How could Yi Chun not see through the black dog demon's plan? It was taking advantage of the fact that Yi Chun was kicked into the ground and continued to kick Yi Chun into the ground. To be more precise, the black dog lesser demon wanted to kick Yi Chun into the underground lava. It wanted to use the lava to burn Yi Chun alive. Unfortunately, the black dog demon did not know that the lava was not a threat to Yi Chun. It would not matter even if Yi Chun was swimming in the lava. This was because Yi Chun had the innate spiritual treasure, the fire spirit pearl, and he had already started to refine a part of it. Although it was not much, the relationship between flames and Yi Chun was similar to the relationship between fish and water. Of course, the fish would die if it left the water, but Yi Chun would be fine if he left the fire. That was a good idea, but unfortunately, it was thinking too much. Thinking of this, Yi Chun opened his eyes and used the martial arts technique he mastered in his previous life, tremor. In the next second, Yi Chun's fist punched towards the black dog demon's right leg. Bang! After a loud thud, the expression of the black dog demon, who was secretly pleased with himself, suddenly changed. It felt an extremely strange power coming from Yi Chun's fists. Wave after wave, the speed was extremely fast, and the power was getting stronger and stronger. In the blink of an eye, it had suffered no less than 5 attacks that were even more powerful than Yi Chun's all-out attack. Because the time was too short, the 5 waves from Yi Chun's fist merged into one in an instant. This was the main reason why the black dog demon's expression changed so drastically. How is that possible? A cry of surprise came from the black dog demon's mouth. In the next second, the black dog and the little demon were sent flying by the powerful force. They were so fast that they flew into the sky in the blink of an eye. When Yi Chun saw this, he smiled coldly. Then, with a leap, he landed on the ground. At the same time, the black dog demon landed on the ground. Yi Chun sensed the surge of innate true origin in his body, as well as the increase in the strength of his physical body. He could not help but smile. Not bad, not bad, he had improved again. When he thought of this, Yi Chun rushed towards the black dog demon again. When the black dog demon saw Yi Chun rushing towards it again, its face twisted. Then, it looked at Yi Chun and shouted, "You cheated, use magic." Bullsh *T. This is a technique, understand? When Yi Chun heard this, he curled his lips in disdain and shouted. When the black dog demon heard this, its hair stood on end and it shouted, "Bastard, this is magic. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to withstand my power. Since you used magic, don't blame me for using demonic arts." When Yi Chun heard this, he smiled coldly and said, "Use whatever you want. You're the one who said it. Hearing this, Black Dog Lesser Demon's eyes widened and he shouted. At this moment, Yi Chen met the Black Dog Demon that was landing on the ground. He swung his right fist without hesitation. When the Black Dog saw this, its expression changed. It quickly retracted the demonic arts it was about to use and kicked towards Yi Chen. Bang! A loud sound was instantly heard. In the next second, Yi Chen fell rapidly to the ground. This time, the Black Dog Demon did not rise into the air like before. Instead, it borrowed Yi Chen's power to fly into the distance. Bang! When Yi Chen landed, he looked at the Black Dog Demon that was purposely moving away. He smiled coldly and shouted, "Stupid dog, die! Bastard of the sorcerer tribe, don't be so arrogant. I'll torture you until you cry." The Black Dog Demon shouted angrily when it heard this. After the Black Dog Demon finished shouting, it opened its mouth towards Yi Chen in midair. In the next second, a pitch-black ball suddenly appeared. It grew with the wind and shot towards Yi Chen at high speed. When Yi Chen saw the black ball, he was stunned. Lion King's Roaring Bullet. And it was F** King mutated Lion King's Roaring Bullet F***CK. This black dog was not only the descendant of the howling celestial dog, it was also the descendant of a certain lion demon. The Lion King's Roaring Bullet was a skill that only the leader of the lion tribe could use. It could also be passed down to the next generation through the bloodline. In the Eldritch world, the demon tribe was a large tribe. Among them, there were countless tribes, such as the dog tribe, the rat tribe, the tiger tribe, the lion tribe, the snake tribe, and so on. No matter which tribe it was, they all lived in the Eldritch world as tribes. To put it simply, any tribe would have countless tribes. And the leaders of these tribes, without exception, all had special demon tribe skills. For example, the leaders of the lion tribe all had a talent skill, the Lion King's Roaring Bullet. If one was not the descendant of the lion tribe's leader, it would be impossible to master this skill. But the black dog at this moment was using the F** King Lion King's Roaring Bullet. It was also because of this that Yi Chen was surprised. He did not expect this stupid dog to have such a rich background. This was even better. After killing it, he would gain more experience. At this thought, Yi Chen raised his eyebrows and clenched his right hand into the air. A buzzing sound was heard. A large flame appeared out of nowhere in midair. To be precise, it appeared beside the Lion King's Roaring Bullet that the Black Dog Demon spat out. It then surrounded the Lion King's Roaring Bullet. Sizzle, sizzle. Dozens of sounds were heard. Within the flame, the Lion King's Roaring Bullet that the Black Dog Demon spat out instantly burst into flames. Waves of dark green smoke rose into the air. After seeing the dark green smoke, Yi Chen curled his lips in disdain. The Lion King's Roaring Bullet was supposed to be golden, but the one that the black dog used was black. This was because the Lion King's Roaring Bullet was mixed with the black dog's saliva, and it was the poisonous kind. If Yi Chen was hit by the Lion King's Roaring Bullet, he would not die. At most, he would be severely injured. However, if Yi Chen was poisoned by the black dog's Lion King's Roaring Bullet, he would be poisoned to death for sure. In the distance, the Black Dog Demon, who was waiting for Yi Chen to be killed by the Lion King's Roaring Bullet, was stunned when it saw its talent skill being destroyed so easily. Then, it shouted in shock. "Impossible! You're only in the mortal evolution state. How can your magic be stronger than mine?" You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.